My mentor was Dante Fat Tater Barksdale. He was the nephew of Avon Barksdale, who The Wire was about. Most towns that have a port, you have direct connection to whatever it is that's coming off of those boats. That's the thing that makes Baltimore unique. It's an open-air drug market. You can hop off the highway right now and pull up anywhere and get something if you ask for it, and you got the money. The projects don't shut down. It's like a 7-Eleven. You can come here anytime. As the new guy on the block, like, oh yeah, I'm already gonna kill them. Just get the stuff together. We're gonna open up tomorrow. They're gonna be dead tonight. Murder is a part of the business. In Baltimore, I don't think heroin could even sell anymore. It's all fentanyl. They shooting it, snorting it, smoking it. Man, you got people making $30,000, $40,000 a day. The one underlying thing with Baltimore is that you can die anytime.
My guest today is Carl Johnson, a former drug dealer from Baltimore, Maryland, who ran the streets during the same years that HBO was filming their iconic television show, The Wire. Carl breaks down everything that The Wire got right and what it didn't, and reveals how the drug trade actually works in Baltimore, which to this day is still one of the most crime-ridden, drug-infested cities in America. Carl got out of the game a few years ago and is today a drug rehab counselor and helps run a nationwide foundation called Baltimore Recovery Alliance, which you can check out if you have a loved one struggling with addiction. This is one of the most raw, unfiltered insights into the most fascinating inner-city slum in modern times. We all watched The Wire, but this man lived it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Carl Johnson, right here on The Connect with Johnny Mitchell. What's up, everybody? It's Baltimore in the house this week. I can't wait for you to see this one. Real quick, as always, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the alert bell. Smash that like button and drop a comment. It's really been helping our videos get out to more people, so I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now enjoy Baltimore Carl. So, obviously The Wire was like a show that defined my generation, our generation, people that came of age in the late 90s, early 2000s. And it was fascinating because I'm looking at a city that in the modern era operates like it's stuck in the 1970s. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see that.
Open air drug markets, like people ODing in broad daylight, alleyways, shootings. You're like, oh, this doesn't happen in America anymore.
Right.
In like a northern city, but you're from there.
I can agree with that. I mean, Baltimore is that's why a lot of people, right? If you ever get a chance, check online. A lot of people will say that Baltimore is not a part of the DMV, which is geographically insane to say because it absolutely is. But Baltimore itself is its own thing. We're not DC, we're not Virginia, we're not Delaware, it's none of that. So you're right. And it's like a time capsule. It's a lot of things we do in Baltimore that a lot of people might not do, and you're right, it is open air drug market. And that's what makes it unique. This is what I said before. I learned that most towns that have a port, you have direct connection to whatever it is that's coming off of those boats. So there are people far beyond us, way more influential and richer, that have multiple things coming through those ports that we'll never know about. But guess what? They end up on these streets. In the famous words of Nino Brown, ain't no Uzis made in Harlem. So how is it so many guns on the streets of Baltimore? How is it so many drugs, on the streets of Baltimore? And when I say so many, I'm talking about it's a plethora. It's not your usual, like back in the day, coke, dope, and weed. No, you have at least 9 different variants of fentanyl, meaning that now, right? So in the field I'm in, we have the UA cups where if we have somebody, they do a UA, we'll see the fentanyl in it, right? But let's say John Doe is right here, and we see that he's noticeably high. We can see. But he has one of those variants in him. There's nothing that's going to show up in the cup. The cup can't catch it. Wow. But we see him right here nodding in front of us. So it's a problem. Just like, for instance, the xylazine. The xylazine, so the companies, they had to start making OpV. OpV is from the family of Narcan. Are you familiar with Narcan? Mm-hmm. All right, so Narcan, when you give somebody Narcan, it bonds to the opiate receptors, which will stop whatever overdose was about to happen. But the dealers are starting to now mix it with the xylazine, which isn't an opiate. It's a sedative. So it means that I can hit you with 10 Narcans and it's not going to save you because the Narcan doesn't bind to sedatives. And it's so much stronger. So it's like, man, they putting so much, it's so many different things that these people are putting in the drugs that makes it's like Russian roulette. At least back in the day, right? Let's just say like how you were speaking earlier, like I say in the 80s, 90s, right? You pretty much knew what you were going to go get. You probably were overdosed because of the potency of what somebody had if you was getting the heroin, not what they're putting in it. That's a big difference. Back in the day, a brick of heroin would be like upwards of, just say like $100,000, right? So it costs to be a dope boy. You couldn't just say, I'm going to go outside and sell some dope. You had to, it was a machine. You had to know somebody who had the grams. The grams had to be good. You had to know how to cut it. Once you had it cut, you had to know how to cap it. Once you capped it, you had to also have a team to sell it. It's a well-structured organization when you're selling heroin. But nowadays, right, a brick of fentanyl is around $7,000. But the profit margin is about the same as if you had the brick of heroin. You understand me? So meaning this, that any John Doe tax time could say, oh, I'm gonna go get me some fentanyl. But you don't have what we would call table manners, meaning that you don't know how to cut it. See, back in the day, right, you used to have to get, your materials, cut it up, put it together, you let it sit, then you would put it out. And real heroin had an expiration, meaning that you had to sell it within a certain amount of time or it was going to go bad. Fentanyl don't go bad. If anything, fentanyl gets more potent over time. So now you have John Doe, who's never sold dope or nothing like that, but he see that the value of dope is everywhere. It's like, okay, I can get rid of it. I know people who get high or whatever. So he doesn't know how to cut it. So guess what he does? This is what they do. They'll get a sandwich bag, put the fentanyl, put the cut in it, zipping it up and just shake it up. And they'll sell it. Now that inherently is very, very dangerous because now you're not giving it a proper sift, which means that it's hot spots in it. Meaning that you and I could go get the same dope and I die from it and you don't because where they peeled my part of it up was so potent with fentanyl because it's not cut. You used to have sifters and stuff like that. You running it through. You sift it 100 times. You sift your cut 100 times. You sift your dope 100 times. Then you sift your cut and your dope together 100 times. It was a process. That's the era that I grew up in. Actually knowing that it was certain things you had to do to be successful at this game. So now these people are just, it's Russian roulette.
So is the dope being sold on the streets of Baltimore, is it technically still heroin, but just cut up with a bunch of fentanyl, or is it actually the fentanyl? Are the junkies just going straight to the fent?
It's all fent. I don't think, I can't speak for other towns, right? But in Baltimore, I don't think heroin could even sell anymore. You have to think that fentanyl is several times more potent than heroin. So it's like, okay, we were getting double cheeseburgers for a long time, but now we got steaks. This is the mind of the user, I'm saying. Okay, so with this steak that I'm getting now, which would be the fentanyl technically, I would never go back to a burger. This is holding me longer, it's stronger, and that's the most important thing, that it holds them longer, meaning that they don't have to chase as much. Like I said, traditionally with heroin, it's an early morning thing. That's why we always had big rushes in the morning because everybody who worked and do dope, they would have to get it before they go to work. So
else they get sick.
Yeah, lest they get sick. But now with the fentanyl, it's not like that. The fentanyl will hold them longer. But the flip side of that is the fentanyl is doing a lot of physical damage on the inside that we don't know about. You got to think, heroin's been out for a long time. So if I grew up a dope fiend, but my uncle was a dope fiend, I pretty much know the 30 years he's been doing dope, I already know what the ailments will be. and I know what to look out for. But with the fentanyl, it's kind of comparison to the vapes. Like, okay, if my mom smoked cigarettes forever, right? Okay, I know cancer, I know this, I know that can happen, but the vapes are still kind of like a gray area. You don't really know what that's doing to you. So that's the thing with the fentanyl. It's not really, it hasn't been out long enough to really say definitively what it's doing to people. But what we do know is the overdose rate is crazy. It's crazy.
Are the junkies, the fiends, which I know is disrespectful, but that's just how we talk, right? The dope fiends. Are there any more old school, traditional heroin, old black people going to cop heroin? Or has the fent created a whole new market of like young users, like users our age and younger?
It's a very good question. So, number one, nobody's looking for any heroin anymore. And the opiate crisis didn't really begin until people in middle America started really getting hooked onto it. See, long as it was in the ghetto, it was fine. It was fine for poor people to die from it year after year, day after day. But when people who are judges and doctors and lawyers, when their children started dying from it, that's when this whole initiative began. That's when it became, we got to do something about this, because let me give you an example. So this is how it works. So let's just say, Wyoming, right? Let's say I'm a rich white man from Wyoming and my daughter has an opiate problem. It might be one program in Wyoming and the wait list might be 3 years for her to get some help. So I start doing some research. Where can I get help for my daughter? Okay, I find out that Maryland has a plethora of programs, right? Okay, so I'm like, I can get her there this week. And she can get help because they have programs geared towards opiates. Okay, so we get her there, right? And she gets there, she starts getting the help and all of that. Remember, I'm wealthy. This is my daughter. So she's not a brokey coming to Baltimore. So then what happens is this. She finds out once she's in the atmosphere that what she's been paying $1,000, $1,500 for is $3 in Baltimore. You understand me?
And that's for like a perk?
That's for a pill of dope. You understand what I'm saying? See, you have to understand the markets fluctuate depending on where you are. Right. That's the thing that makes Baltimore unique. It's an open air drug market. Johnny, you can hop off the highway right now and pull up anywhere and get something if you ask for it and you got the money. But in other towns, you got to know somebody to know somebody to know somebody to get something.
Okay, so you're saying because Maryland, Baltimore offers so many opioid rehab centers, right, outpatient clinics, inpatient clinics, that's what sends all these users to the area, and they in turn just leave the outpatient treatment and go cop dope.
You understand me?
Oh, it's fascinating. Right. Okay, so because that's what I was going to ask you. How long has it been that way? Because according to The Wire, what I saw on The Wire, my perception is that Baltimore is traditionally been an opioid town.
Yes.
Is it even more than crack?
Yeah, I definitely would say so.
And why do you think that is? Because of that reason, or is there something in like the working class bones? Just backing up a little bit, right? Like back to like the Melvin Harris days. Melvin Harris was his name.
You're talking about Lil Melvin.
Lil Melvin, yeah.
Yeah.
The Heroin Kingpin.
Yeah. So that was
who's also in The Wire.
Right. He played the deacon.
Yeah.
And that was amazing how, again, life comes full circle. You were doing something at one time that was destroying the community, but you came, because he did a lot of time in jail. Mm-hmm. Just like, I have Avon Barksdale on my shirt from the Don Diva magazine when he was in the article. These guys came home and they started doing better for the community once they had gained knowledge of self. So, yeah, man, like Lord Melvin is Melvin Williams, by the way.
Melvin Williams,
yeah.
Okay.
So that was great to see him on there.
Definitely. But do you think that what do you think it is about Baltimore, the culture that drives people to use opioids, heroin, and now fentanyl more than, say, like cocaine?
We go back to those boats. It's coming right off that boat. So it's right there. If you remember, if you ever seen any interviews with Lord Melvin, he said his plug was last name Salisbury. So that was a high-ranking gentleman who was not of the black race, who was his plug. So when you got people, again, at that height, that's pushing it into the communities as a poor, underprivileged youth, right? You're going to look at it like this is a great opportunity to make money, man. I'm tired of having holes in my shoes. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. But to answer your question, I think it's because, and also let me tell you this. So I've trapped in different states and different towns, right? And one thing I know is when it comes to the mixture of the heroin and stuff like that, and we're going to, so to answer your question, Melvin was from the 60s and 70s and stuff like that. So this was the updated story that they kind of made The Wire out of. So The Wire isn't about modern times. They just modernized the old story, you know? So for them, remember traditionally in the Black community, cocaine is a rich man's drug. When you're talking about powder cocaine. But when the cocaine epidemic, the crack epidemic happened, and they started making Ready Rock, you know, the rock out of it, that's when Black people started, or just poor people, period, started having access to cocaine. Before that, man, you had to be rich to have cocaine. But heroin was always there, the heroin, the booze, and the weed. You know, so I say that to say that that story of like Lord Melvin and Avon and them is from the past, but they were already selling heroin for years before Coke ever came in the picture. That's why Baltimore has such a atmosphere or like a legacy of opiates. Because of that, because they were already selling it before crack ever existed, and poor people couldn't buy Coke because it was too expensive.
Yeah, but heroin was expensive too, right?
Yeah.
But I guess if you could cut it down to a 10 bag.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
See, you talking about a buyer. Now, if I'm a buyer, yeah, it's expensive if I'm trying to get bulk. But as a dealer, I mean, you got to think back in those days, man, these guys was getting heroin that you can cut 60 times, 70 times. That means you taking one and making 70 out of it. That's
so much money. So
crazy.
much money.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. The Greeks, this is a big part of a big storyline in The Wire. They were a couple of very, very low-key Greek guys that worked at the docks, the ports. And they were bringing in They were bringing in heroin straight from Turkey or wherever it was coming from in East Asia. Did that really happen? Or does that, I assume it doesn't happen now because fentanyl's basically made heroin extinct, but did you hear about plugs, like plugs back in your day when you were hustling? Did you hear about people getting it through the ports? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, that's the pinnacle. Where you can get somebody who getting it straight from there, and it's not really tampered with. It's the same thing like having a cartel plug. I mean, these are essentially cartels, but just not Mexican cartels, you know. But I'm pretty sure even, you know, the Mexican cartels utilize ports as well, you know. But it's not just the drugs; it's the guns, it's the human trafficking, you know, all of that. Everything comes through there, man. And they said that fentanyl was created by China, you know. So you got to think that. That's a great way to utilize the ports as well. Like, we ain't making it. It's coming from somewhere. But yeah, man, you have people who have plugs like that who, of course, they would never share those plugs. You know, these are the people that would just be on forever because it's a system. So when you got somebody who's a heavy hitter like that who's actually looking out for you, you're not going to jail. I mean, let's say you don't even have to snitch or none of that. The point is you're going to have the best lawyer because they need you. Imagine that. Imagine you have all these cows that you want to make into burger meat and you got a guy who got a restaurant, but now the restaurant got a a leaking roof, right? As the guy with the farm, you gonna say, I'm gonna make sure his building is always in pristine shape. You know, so these are the guys who went on from that era that you're talking about, who own a lot of land, you know, that they most likely into politics and stuff like that nowadays. You know, because those plugs, man, it's generational. Even if my dad had that plug, if my dad dies or something like that, it's a family thing, you know, because this is building generational wealth in the community, you know, even though it's the wrong thing, but this is the type of business that these people do. And these are black guys. Yeah. These are black families that have generational wealth from that heroin money.
That type of plug, yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely, man.
Did you have anybody in the game at that level, like any family that was super high up like that?
No, not me personally. My story is pretty much of coming from the projects, right? So my mentor was Dante Fat Tater Barksdale. He was the nephew of Avon Barksdale, who The Wire was about. And Dante, he did I think he did about 10 years in prison or something like that. He came home, he got himself together. We have an initiative in the city called Safe Streets. Okay, Safe Streets is a community initiative of people who try to keep the streets safe from violence. So they hire people who were formerly in gangs or stuff like that, because who knows the game better than people who actually influence the streets? So Tater actually was like a supervisor in that organization. So when he came home and he started, like teaching me, like, boy, look, I ain't hustling no more. I'm showing you the blueprint. I remember one time he told me, he was like, yeah, I gotta go down to the courthouse to get some paperwork or something like that. It was something that he had to do. But me coming from where I'm coming from, anybody who goes to the courthouse, you got to take everything out your pockets. You got to go through the metal detector. But him being a state employee, he just walked around it like he showed his whatever it was, his back, and that was like a level to show, like, man, change is possible, But for me, my guys, before I actually started making that transition, I mean, at my heyday, I had maybe about 10 bricks of coke, and where I'm from, 1 brick of coke, you rich. That's enough to change your life. So I had came across a plug before I actually went to prison and got my life together who he had it. He had some good work, and I was in an area where I can actually get rid of a lot of it, really stress-free.
You're from the East Side.
I'm from the East Side.
East Baltimore.
Lafayette Projects. That was the largest housing project in Baltimore City because we had the most high-rises, the towers. See, The Wire says towers, but we call them high-rises. Right. So in the projects, you have high-rise and low-rise.
Are those still there, or do they knock them over?
No. The Wire was accurate with that as well. Yeah. They had an initiative to get rid of those towers. A lot of projects because they thought that it would make the community safer and all that. But all you did was send those same individuals into residential neighborhoods now. So that's how a lot of beefs happen because, okay, I'm from the projects, but now you move me up on, let's say Preston Street. That's a residential neighborhood. But I'm still hustling. I still got guns. I still got drugs. They have to be sold. The projects are gone. So now it's like, I don't respect you guys up here, so I go hard. I have 10 bodies. I'm just speaking for somebody, individual who might have came from the projects when the towers were destroyed and how their mind might have worked. Because this is my income. I got however much drugs I got to sell, so I'm in a new area, so they still got to be sold. So either we can figure something out or it's get down and lay down, and that happened all around the city. Wow. Because they tore down Lafayette Projects, which was the towers. They tore down Murphy Homes Projects, which had towers. Lexington Terrace. So but Lexington Terrace and Murphy Homes, that's West Side. That's what The Wire was really about, those projects. But the tower that was on The Wire, that still exists. That's there today. Right? Yeah, wow. That's what's that? I forgot the name of the project, but it's over West Baltimore. It's right off of like Dolphin Street. It's still
and do they get money in those projects, or is that like off limits? Where are these trap spots? Are they in vacant, abandoned row houses, like townhouses, or do they still trap out of those big high rises?
No, I mean, this is Baltimore, so people are gonna hustle wherever they can, but predominantly. It's on corners. It's everywhere.
So they're still selling dope on corners?
Everywhere, yes, sir.
They're not working off cell phones like it's 2026.
Yeah. They use the cell phones, but the cell phones are usually, give him 3 of them, he come around the corner now. You understand? That type of thing. Like, right. Or text message, something, of that nature. But yeah, it's still street level sales.
Is that because there's so many people buying that it just makes more sense to just go to a place? Because you're a 14-year-old kid working a pack for an older guy, you might go to jail, but the junkie's got to get high, on a Tuesday and he's in jail. So does it make more sense economically to just have it run like that, as opposed to just, hey, I need heroin, you're my dealer, like I do with my weed guy in Austin. I call you up, hey, I need some weed.
Right.
Like I call you up, hey, I need some heroin. Can you come meet me at McDonald's or wherever? Does it make more sense to just push these mobs of people to an open air place?
That's a good question.
I'm trying to help them out.
Yeah, I hear you, man. You sound like you're the man of the people, man. But the thing is, right, that's probably, that's what's happening now. And that's why so many arrests, that's why so many ODs. Because for the people who really know how to get money when it's coming to selling dope, they still have a very good operation. So you will never really be successful selling dope hand to hand. You're gonna get hot. The police are always watching, so you have to have an operation. So it's always best if somebody's walking up and they say, Johnny, I need 4 of them, I need 10 of them, whatever it is, right? You're like, all right, go around the corner. Now you might call me, all right, Blue coming around the corner. He gave me the money, give him 10 of them. You understand? Mm-hmm. You don't want to have the drugs with the money. That's the bigger charge. Mm-hmm. See, having the drugs on me, that's just possession. Having drugs and money, that's a possession with intent to distribute. That's a bigger charge. So you want to always keep them two things separate. You don't want to get everything in one shot. The police is watching. They're like, oh, we see him. They pull up on you, got drugs and money on you. You're going down. Mm-hmm. Right. It's going to be a problem.
Right, of course. I mean, the feds don't need that. The feds can send you to prison for life with no drugs.
Absolutely.
That was part of one of the biggest pieces of bullshit from The Wire that I did not appreciate was that, season 5, the finale, they put this huge case on the Stanfield crew. Right. They get him with I think 50 kilos of raw heroin or something. And it's the state police. It's like the Baltimore cops that take them down. That's a Fed charge.
All day.
How often do you see federal busts in the city of Baltimore? Or does that usually happen on the outskirts where the Kingpins live?
No, it's fed busts every day, and they work in conjunction with the state. So what you said, you're absolutely right. That would have never happened in real life where it was just the state police. With that amount of work, It definitely would have been a Fed charge. With the type of bodies, everything, the Feds would have been took that over, and that whole McNulty crew and all that would have been, to the side at that point. But no, the Feds are very, very heavy in Baltimore. Look, man, just a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, we just had 30 overdoses at one area. One area had 30 overdoses from fentanyl. And then I think a week or so before that, it was 14 overdoses. See, this goes back to my original point, that anybody is selling it. There's no honor in the game compared to how it used to be. It used to be okay, you can stand behind something that's good. I know this is good. I put it together myself. And again, in Baltimore, we had what's called testers. I think Cavario spoke about that, about the alley, you giving out testers and stuff like that. Because, so a tester, for lack of a better term, is a sample. So you make up a certain amount so you can give some out for free. It's free promotion. Nothing works better in the dope game than word of mouth. So you got crowd. I mean, man, I'd have seen what looks like a school full of people just waiting, for the right dope to come out. Now, this one dope was dope. And you might got some dope, and you nah, I'm good, y'all. Come on, come get it from me, blah, blah, blah. Nah, they gonna wait for who they waiting for. And they don't care if you start if you selling $10 pills and you say, man, I give it to you for $1. They're not going to buy it because they know what they want, because those testers let them know, I need this. And remember, nobody wants to be dope sick. That's one of the worst feelings. If you're sweating, you have diarrhea, you're throwing up, body aches. What they call it is heavy. They come outside man, I'm feeling heavy, man. I need a hit, man. I feel heavy. And for me, when I was selling dope, I would always make sure that nobody was heavy, because the loyalty of the people will determine your success. If you, man, it's when people crack people upside the head because they got $1 short. You know what I mean? Bust somebody upside the head. But this person been coming to you every day, religiously for the past month, and I come with a short once, and you just, you can't win like that because they will snitch on you. They will tell, yeah, man, look, man, like, it's them down there. Look, think about your man Bubs.
Yeah,
Remember, Bubs was going putting the hats on people and all that just because of his homeboy who got beat up by the boys in the low rises.
Yeah.
This is real. That actually does happen. Cooperation is at an all-time high, especially with these computers that we have in our pocket. Those phones, man, somebody be 2 blocks away zooming in. That's Johnny right there, and go show somebody, and now you're looking at a whole indictment or investigation you didn't even have an idea about because of somebody who you didn't want to give a free pill to.
Right.
Like that sucks. It's a part of the game. Yeah. I'll say that. But this is the game that's being played now. Yeah. Like back then, like it was more boots on the ground, but now somebody can fly a drone over you. It's crazy out here, man.
Well, that's why it's so crazy to me that they're still selling really big time federal amounts of drugs, fentanyl, in the middle of the open air where they can't identify you from any which way.
Yeah.
It's when you go up to New York, you go up to Harlem, you go up to the Bronx, you don't really see that shit.
Right.
Everybody's behind closed doors. You got to go through a gate. You got to have a referral. Right. You got to pass money through a little slot.
Right. like it's the Carter, like Nito Brown.
Right, exactly. It's like the Carter. And that's actually good for the community.
Right.
That's where policing does help. The drug war has failed at the top because you can't stop people when they're motivated by so much money. The product's always going to be getting in. Where policing does help in the drug war is by cleaning up the streets.
Right.
Because that's what affects the community the most. It's not the Mexican guy bringing in 100 bricks. It's a bunch of little 14-year-olds, beating up dope fiends on the corner when kids are just trying to walk to school.
Correct.
That's what affects the quality of life the most. So, but
let me
you guys don't give a fuck in Baltimore.
Let me go a little deeper for you, right? Since the game has changed, right? This is the problem. This is what it really is. There's no order. There's no structure. You have people who are selling, let's say, crack to go buy Percocets. See, when I was coming up, people wanted to be fly. You wanted to have money. You wanted the women. These guys are selling drugs to buy drugs.
They're drug addicts themselves.
That's
so pathetic.
So there is no order or no structure. Listen, when you come to Baltimore, I'm going to take you to a place. It's called Lexington Market.
Can't wait.
It's downtown Baltimore, man. When you see this, Johnny, you going to be, and what I'm telling you is this. Everybody down Lexington Market is buying drugs, selling drugs, doing drugs. And it's wide open. There is no discretion at all.
Would you equate it to Kensington in Philadelphia or downtown LA, Skid Row, these places?
Kensington. Very similar.
Okay.
Very similar. But what I would say is it's more unique because what the difference is this is an all-day, everyday thing, and it's wide open, and it's not just Kensington is more people using and stuff like that. This is people hustling. Like wide open. I'm talking about people got the Xanax, whatever it is, methadone, all that. We got what's called spitback, right? You familiar with spitback? Okay. No. Spitback is this. Spitback is if I'm in a methadone program, right? And I go take my methadone, but what I do is I hold the methadone in my mouth till I'm out of the place, and I spit it back in the bottle and go sell it to somebody.
Holy
you understand?
Shit. Yeah.
People want to get high that bad.
Wow.
So and that's why my initiative is what it is, like the Baltimore Recovery Alliance, because I see that people need help. People with addiction don't need jobs. I mean, they don't need jail. They need rehab. Don't put me in jail because I get high. Help me.
It's so tough, though, because people have been trying to clean up the streets and the community for decades, and it doesn't seem to do any good. In fact, it's like a blowback. As you say, let's open up a rehab center in Baltimore, and then we'll get all these junkies to come to this rehab center, and then they'll just leave, and it creates a bigger pool of drug addicts in the city.
So,
and this is what I wanted to ask you. Sorry to cut you off.
No.
Do you think there's corruption in the rehab industry? Because, for example, the homeless industry in California and LA, right? They'll give billions of dollars to a developer to go build up free housing for homeless people and drug addicts.
Right.
And if it does get built, it costs way more money because it's free money. It comes from the government. It comes from taxpayers.
Correct.
And so they'll build these giant, nice buildings for homeless people, and they'll be empty.
Right.
Because obviously they have to piss test these people. They have to be clean to stay there, and they all piss dirty. So it's just, or maybe they go check in, they get high, and then they leave. It's a f***ing mess. Do you think the rehab industry actually perpetuates drug addiction more than it helps?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, very, very good point. So what I'll say is this, number one, right, just to speak on what you're saying in LA, that happens because you're right. It's already a plan to not have those people in those buildings. And that's because they are not addressing the one major aspect. That's behavior health. See, it doesn't matter. See, it's like the chicken or the egg. That's what we learned in this. What came first? Was it the drug abuse that led to the mental health issues, or was it the mental health issues that led to the drug abuse? And if you're not about that, if you're not focused on that, you're not helping anybody. All you're doing is lining your pockets. Now, to answer your second question, in Maryland specifically, look, the corruption was so bad that the state, they put a moratorium on opening new programs, meaning that in Baltimore City and well, it was the whole state, but now it's down to just Baltimore City and Baltimore County, that you can't open any new program because there was a lot of fraud. This is what the fraud looks like. Okay, Johnny comes into treatment, right? Johnny leaves after 3 days, right? But we're still billing your Medicaid for 3 months. You've been gone 3 months, but we're still getting that money for you, like you in here, And man, the money on these programs, they make a lot of money, man. Yeah. It is buku money. You understand? Crazy. But so the corruption is always there as long as bad people are involved. Let me give you another example to build on what you asked. So think about this. Let's say you, I, and John, right? You, John, and I, we got some money. We like, man, let's open the program as a way to make some money. But we're not clinicians. We don't have no true passion about helping anybody. So that means that when people come to our program, we're not really helping them. We're just scanning them, to get that insurance money. And you leave, okay. Yeah. So then you get a bad name. Then you got people, you'll take anybody. So now people are overdosing, whatever, but you're still collecting money. So they put the moratorium on because it's the same way as if a conglomerate opened a restaurant. Nobody's a chef, nobody's a busboy, nothing. It's like, hey, we could just make money off a restaurant. People like to eat, but it's no passion about it. We don't even know what's on the menu. That's the same thing, like as far as these people opening these programs. Yeah. They don't really care about the people. And when that happens, it's always going to lead to relapse and everything else. But for me, if I have 100 people and out that 100, 5 of them succeed, that's a win. Because what we learn is this, man, when these people who come to these programs, they are the backbones of their family. So when they're doing bad, the family's doing bad. But when they're doing good, the family's doing good. So it feels good to be able to help people reconnect with their children. It feels good to be able to help people get out the slums, get out the bandos. You understand? Like the whole key is that you're still a person and you matter. That's what we have to perpetuate. That's what we have to project to people. Yeah, you got a needle in your arm right now, but guess what? You still worthy of love, respect, and redemption. So, I mean, some of the most famous people had some of the worst drug habits. For sure. But a lot of those people, they had the type of infrastructure that just kept them going. Like, man, no, like think about like somebody like Charlie Sheen, Robert Downey Jr. These people were, very famous, infamously known for drug abuse. Yeah. And they got
what
through
they
it.
had was money.
You understand?
That really seems to fix almost all of the world's problems.
Yeah, man.
Today's episode is sponsored by Hims. If you have a workable penis, turn this off. You don't. That's what I thought. Every guy I know, literally 1 billion men, will suffer from ED at some point, right? Even if you don't suffer from erectile dysfunction, don't you want to be the hardest possible? Of course you do. Don't you want to do magic tricks with that thing, with that pogo stick? That's why you got to use Hims, okay? Hims connects you with licensed healthcare providers online, giving you simple access to legitimate ED treatment options from home. No awkward appointments, no pharmacy lines. Just complete a simple online intake, and a provider will review your information to determine if treatment is right for you. It will be. If prescribed, your treatment ships directly to your door in discreet packaging. That includes sildenafil, also known as generic for Viagra, available through Hims at up to 95% cheaper than brand name versions. You cannot beat that. And if that option isn't right for you, there are additional treatment options available so you can find what works best for your body. It's straightforward, transparent, and designed to make getting care feel easy. To get simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/connect. That's hims.com/connect for your free online visit. One more time, hims.com/connect. Prescription is required. See website for details and important safety information. Sildenafil is the generic version of Viagra. Viagra is a registered trademark of Viatris Specialty LLC. Hims is not affiliated with or endorsed by Viatris. Yeah, the bandos, the abandoned buildings. Is there still a lot of abandoned property around Baltimore?
It's more abandoned, man. It's ridiculous.
Still?
Yes, very, very much so. I mean, it's so many abandoned buildings in Baltimore. It might be more abandoned buildings than there is actual buildings with people living in them.
Right.
You know, I'm talking about whole communities, just abandoned buildings.
And are there still, since heroin is no longer a thing, are there still shooting galleries?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So people are actually shooting the fent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Shooting
rock
it,
and roll.
Smoking it. Yeah, man. Yeah. The fentanyl, man, is terrible, man.
Yeah.
And remember, I originally said it's 9 different variants. So, and every degree is worse. So, yeah, man, they shooting it, snorting it, smoking it, and the thing is, you have people who have pill presses who are making these fake Percocets.
Yeah. Called like M80s, right, or something like that?
Yeah. And the thing is, back in the day, you used to be able to see the difference between a prescription Percocet and one somebody made. But they're getting just like in everything else, we know how it goes. Technology always improves the fraud. So now they look so good that you wouldn't even know. Man, I know, rest in peace, man, I know 3 kids, man, they were all under 21 who died from the fake perks within like the last 2 years. Because it looks so real.
So people, basically what it is people want perks. Perks is a whole market, you know. I think a lot of young kids too, right?
That's what I'm saying.
They're influenced by rap and shit like that.
The lean, all of that.
And so they think they're getting a perk, but it's really fentanyl.
Right.
And what's the point of doing that? Because I guess a dealer can get fentanyl cheap, whereas it's more difficult to get real Percocets?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. Remember, Percocets generally only come from a doctor. This prescription medicine. So if I can fool the market to saying that, hey, I have, a stockpile of these Percocets, come buy them from me. Because it used to be like $1 per milligram. So if you get a Perc 30, that's $30. But now, in certain places, it's double. You're paying $60 for a Perc 30. But this is the point, though, Johnny, when I'm telling you that these kids don't realize that that's still an opiate. Lean is an opiate. Percocets is an opiate. Heroin is an opiate. Morphine is an opiate. Fentanyl is an opiate. So what happens is, I know some people who, they were on like 5 Perc 30s a day, right? That's a $150 habit a day. Okay, that money starts to get low. And guess what? What they find out is, I can go get a pill of fentanyl for $3. It's bigger, it's stronger, it lasts longer, and guess what? You're never going to do a perk again in your life. Now you're officially on that side of the tracks. So everything that you thought that you wouldn't be, the same people you were laughing at, oh, you're a dope fiend, this and that. No, bro, it's the same thing. So even with the lean, man, promethazine is an opiate. So you are gonna, you're gonna feel the same roughness as somebody who's just doing heroin or fentanyl. It's the same exact thing, just a different form. But that's my whole key to inform these kids. It's the same thing. So before you pick it up, understand what you're signing up for. Because like you said, these rappers, they tell you, oh yeah, I got my double cup, I'm mixing my Sprite with the lean, I got the purple, all that. Nah, man, but a lot of these people are going through a lot more than what you realize, and like you said, they can afford to go to great rehabs. Def Jam or Columbia Records will put them somewhere nice, but whole time where you at? In a bando.
Right. So it does sound like a lot of the youth, like really like young kids, are becoming addicts.
Yes, sir. At an alarming rate.
I just thought when I was growing up, I would see crackheads and dope fiends like in Portland, under the bridge or wherever, downtown Portland. And I'm like, okay, well, we all know now these guys are strung out. They're addicted. We can't help them. But once they're gone, like the new generation will see clearly you can't do this. Yeah. I was so naive. I was like, oh, yeah, heroin will just die.
Right.
It did die, but because of something much worse, a much worse villain. Yeah, that's
a worse
really
villain. I like
sad.
that. You're right.
Yeah, it's like a bad guy in a movie, and then you see, oh God, we missed that bad guy. This guy's even worse.
Way worse. Yeah.
So, God, I have so many questions. And they're going to be out of order, but let's just talk about the abandoned buildings.
Right.
The season 4 of The Wire, Marlowe and his crew are killing dudes and dumping them in the abandoned buildings. Did that ever really happen?
Yeah, that was a real thing. Yeah. I mean, now I'm not going to say based on the names from The Wire. Yeah. I'm not saying that the real Marlo Stanfield, when he was on the street, because he is a real person, that his crew was doing that. But no, yeah, I mean, it's so many vacants, yeah. I mean, and also you get a lot of people OD in these vacants that nobody ever sees again. Until a city worker goes to board it up or something, they get a stench and they like, oh, it's bodies in here. It's that simple. Look, think about this, Johnny. Again, they don't have any structure to what they're doing. They just got the fentanyl mixing it up. So let's say 5 people went all to this one place to go get some dope, and they all went back to the bando to do it, and they all overdose off it. Who's there to call the police? That's 5 bodies in that building. So
5 people could just die like that.
Right.
And their bodies will be decaying when they find them.
Right.
Now, you talked about like when they knocked over the big high rises, it caused a bunch of people to be jammed up. It basically caused a whole migration of drug dealers to go to other people's turf, right? Whether it was boulevards or avenues or alleyways. How does that get resolved? Like, do you own a spot? Like, if you're running a crew and you say, okay, this is my corner, like, do you own it? And then what happens if one of your guys gets killed? Do you step off or do you go to war? Or is it organized in the way that we saw it in The Wire, where they're like, this is a Stanfield corner?
Yeah, it's just like that. But it's more of an open air market, whereas though it's not really just names. But yeah, it happens just like that. You've been right here for you grew up on this block, this avenue, right? You grew up here and you've been hustling here forever. Everybody around here know that to get it from you, only people who can come around and hustle is people that you bring in. But now I came from the projects and I moved in a house down the street, and I got a whole bunch of project guys with me and everything else, and we looking at this block. We like, man, well, this is the new spot we at. So yeah, because some people are so infamous that they might already know each other. Because what brings people together also is jail. So even though I'm not from your neighborhood, I might have been over to jail with you. And like, okay, all right, that's little man in them. Okay, Johnny, come here, yo. All right, that's where you was at? Yeah, bro, blah, blah, blah. That's my man. Okay. Now, I might got a supplier that's way better than yours. So a lot of organizations come together, like the co-op on The Wire. Organizations come together, they cop together, and they strategically, take over other towns and knock off, take over other areas and knock off smaller players. So it works like that a lot of times. But sometimes it's, I'm a hardcore killer from the projects, and you just somebody up here getting money. See, remember, it's a difference between a hustler and a killer. And a gangster. Because you could be somebody who hustles, somebody who just outside getting money, whatever. You could be a killer, somebody who people just pay you to knock people off. But then you could be a gangster, somebody who's organized, like, you know what? I ain't got to do none of that. I know exactly what, you just put the piece, it's just a chessboard. And now everybody who was out there is now gone and you just move on in. Whereas though your thumbprint ain't on anything. It's just now this is my territory. And my drugs are better, my hours are better. And that's another thing too, I'm glad you brought it up, is that people on avenues, streets and stuff like that, residential blocks, they normally have a cutoff time and a time that they start. The projects is 24/7. So now, whoever moved there from the projects, they out there all day, which means that it's more money all day. That means that it's more crowds all day, which means that it's hotter all day too. Because the police probably was used to the block being shut down at a certain time. Like, all right, Mike and them gone, you know, okay, whatever. So now the flow who normally come through this is up there now, whatever. But now that these project guys are here, oh, it ain't no shutting down because the projects don't shut down. It's like a 7-Eleven. You can come in anytime. So now it's a whole different atmosphere on the block, you know, and that's what usually leads to, you know, a lot of murders because number one, okay, I want this. You know, I got 10 bodies. You know, you might not know who I am, but it's probably best for you to leave. You grew up around here. You know what I mean? Okay. You know what I mean? I'm not saying this to you. This is what I'm thinking as the new guy on the block. Like, oh, yeah, I'm already going to kill them. You know what I mean? Just get the stuff together. We're going to open up tomorrow. They're going to be dead tonight.
And have you heard people talk that casually about?
Yeah, murder is a part of the business. You know, hurting people is a part of the business.
Oh, man.
It's just a part of the job, you know? And the thing is, what I learned is, man, it's easy to hurt somebody. I mean, just think about it. You got soccer moms who drive the whole van into the lake with their kids in them. You understand? She just caught 4 bodies and killed herself.
Sure.
You know? But it takes a certain mentality to be able to live with what's happened. You know, and that's why a lot of people crack and tell because they getting haunted by you done killed somebody and you just keep seeing their face every night or whatever like that. No, you gotta have the mental fortitude to know that whatever goes on, I can handle it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you guys are just the whole Baltimore city is so desensitized to death.
It really is.
From the guy, you know, shooting somebody to death on the corner to the city worker just, oh, smells like shit. We got 5 dead ones in here. Like,
that's a good point.
It's just nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
You're right, Johnny. You're right.
Yeah.
Let me build on that before we move from that. And that's what keeps Baltimore very respectful as well. Let me give you an example. Because for the true G's, you could be coming into the store, right? And I'm walking out. I'm going to hold the door for you. If I bump into you, I'm going to say, excuse me. Because the one underlying thing with Baltimore is that you can die anytime. You don't know who's a gangster. You don't know who got it on them. None of that. So you always want to be, unless when it's go time, it's go time. If you say, Carl, these guys down here on our block, blah, 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 we got a mission we're going to do, that's that. But what I'm saying is just in everyday life, it's a certain level of respect that Baltimoreans have for each other because we always know there's a chance that you can die. Yeah. You cut somebody off in traffic, somebody might shoot your car up. You step on somebody's shoe, somebody might blow your head off. So it's always a level of, you know what I mean? Like real gangsters don't.
It's like prison.
Yeah.
Jail and prison are really like that. It's like, hey, are you using the phone?
You understand?
Because I can go after, no big deal. Like
no
everybody's
deal.
like, because you try to avoid that shit.
Right.
Because it can pop off in an instant.
Because it's going to be that easy. And of course, remember, Maryland isn't an open carry state. You know, so it's different than other, you know, states that have open carry rules. No, so you don't know who got it on them. You know, it'd be the old man in the chicken box spot. You done wanted the way, old man, but the whole time, he an old school gangster. And he been waiting for something like this to happen from one of you young knuckleheads to try him. You know, so it's just those type of things that happen in Baltimore.
So gun dealing is an industry.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because you can't have it on you.
Right.
It's like New York, so you can make money selling guns and shit.
Yeah, man, the switches and all that. Think about it. We went from back in the day, let's say in the 60s and 70s, that you had to fight somebody, to like 70s and 80s. Yeah, I mean, you might have to stab somebody. The knife was, you know, the bigger thing. Then you had your 38s and stuff like that. So now they got Glocks, you know, then you're like, okay, you got a Glock, right? And let's say you got 17 shots. That's a lot of shots to do something when you went from having 6 shots. Now they got not only the you know, the 17 shots. Now they got the drums on it, you know, and not only the drum, they got the switch on it. So now they just making ways for you to kill people and kill each other even at a faster rate. And a lot of these guys shooting with their eyes closed. They not really, you know. So that's why a lot of innocent people actually get hurt because there's so many bullets and ain't nobody really got, and everybody's high.
Yeah, everybody.
You wake up down to bookings, because you know one of the side effects of Xanax is that it can be temporary memory loss. So you can wake up and not even know, you know, you over the bookings, charge people slide under the door, you done woke up, you look at the total, I killed 6 people last night.
There must be some mistake.
It gotta be.
Hey, check the security camera out.
Check this out, right.
You're like, I damn sure did kill 6
You feel me?
Dude, that's fucking crazy. So do you think that Baltimore also, because speaking of everybody getting high, I mean, you know, when we were growing up, meaning like the 90s and the 2000s, like it was not cool to be a drug user.
Right.
Like and I got that from rap specifically and like hip hop culture. It's like we sell drugs to these losers,
right,
these old school guys that started getting high in the 70s and 80s. Those are the junkies, and we're the fly drug dealers. And we smoke weed and we drink and we have bitches, you know? But it seemed like that missed Baltimore. Like Cavario, for instance, you know, Cavario, who's been a good friend of the show, talks about when he went to Baltimore in like the late 90s and to try to get on selling coke, he went to a club, like a nightclub, and there was like this like hot black girl, like a bunch of these like hot black girls with like, you know, their club dresses on, looking all sexy, and they're like nodding from heroin. Like Baltimore, I think that's kind of like unique to Baltimore. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, Baltimore, we have the title as the heroin capital. You know, even 50 Cent, he had what was it called? I forgot the name of the song, but he references Baltimore as like the dope capital. Something about his love thing. I forgot the name of the song. It'll come to me.
It's a love thing?
Yeah, because he was talking about dope.
Right.
You know, but yeah, I mean.
But is there just not that stigma amongst like, you know, like young black men, like teenagers?
No.
It's, you know, they just don't have that.
No, it's largely because of the music as well. You know, remember, you got these rappers talking about drinking the lean all the time, you know, popping the Xanny and the perk and all that. And Baltimore has that type of, Baltimore is a city full of people who are followers. You know, now we have famous people from Baltimore, right? We got Javante Davis, you know, Tank, shout out to him. We have, you know, Tupac came from there. We have, we have a lot of different people who've made their way, right? But as a rapper, we've never had somebody on the level of a Jay-Z, of a Lil Wayne. You know, no superstar rappers have ever came from Baltimore, you know, but we had a lot of people who were actually like on their way up, but then they got killed. And that's like, we have this whole thing, like it's the crab in the bucket. Once somebody's about to get out the city, another crab just pull you down. But nonetheless, it's a city full of followers, so all of these trends that go on, no matter if it's in the Bay Area, if it's in Atlanta, if it's wherever it's at, Baltimore absorb it all, you know, like just like that kid who wants to fit in. You know, like okay, that's what they doing there, that's what we doing. You know, but the difference is Baltimore also has a culture of homicide, which a lot of these places don't. So when these guys getting high and they partying, these guys getting high and they killing. You know, so it's a difference. So, and I only mention the music thing because it matters in the aspect of identity. So it's like, oh, they popping perks in Atlanta and drinking lean? Well, we're going to do it more than them. We're going to pop extra perks. We're going to drink extra lean. We're going to show them that. Because it's a lot of successful drug dealers in Baltimore. You know, and I know that's oxymoron, but I'm just saying, like, it's a lot of people who are making a lot of money who are not famous, but they got rapper type money, but not rapper type fame. Right. So they feel like they got to have the Christian Dior's, they got to have the Hublot, and you know what I'm saying? And they can afford it legitimately, but illegally. You know, so it's that type of mentality.
Yeah, Baltimore lacks an identity in like a legal lane.
You understand?
Like the Wire put the city on the map, but it's only known for really bad things.
Everywhere I go, Johnny, they say, is Baltimore really like The Wire? Let me hear you say, to. You know, it's this is how we talk.
It's fascinating how the accent came to be. I mean, you're north of Washington, D.C., you're like a half an hour north of D.C., right? But it's a city that like feels and operates like it's the South.
Yeah.
And also, I think, don't you think the lack of gentrification, like, you know, all these cities, D.C., Atlanta, New York, Chicago, I mean, they still have their hoods, but the downtowns have been revitalized by young white people going to, you know, strike it out and get cheap rent. And why does Baltimore not have any kind of flow? You know, like Austin is like, you know, it's this place where like young people are going, and there's no optimism in Baltimore, but it's around all these cities that have really like been revitalized.
I think it's by design. You know, I think that some of the politicians who are on top, maybe not like the mayor or the governor, but some of the people, I believe it's by design. Remember, people get paid off of the misery of others every day. So it's no mistake that these drugs are in the community, these guns, these homicides. You know, I believe that if the government help address 4 things in Baltimore, and I think this model could be addressed across the nation: joblessness, homelessness, miseducation, and mass incarceration. If those things are addressed, things can change for anybody. Listen, in Baltimore, there is gentrification. It's a lot. A lot of neighborhoods that used to be just straight hoods, we have Johns Hopkins. We are the home of Johns Hopkins, and it's Johns Hopkins all around the world.
That's right.
Arguably one of the, if not the best hospital in the world. And they bought up a whole area of the city. It was called Dickey Land, and it's nothing but like buildings and hotels. They got, I think it's a Marriott or something right there on Wolf Street. So it is happening. Okay. But you also have to understand this, that we have a lot of hoods that are full of poor blacks, Hispanics, and whites. Like like a neighborhood like Highlandtown, a lot of poor whites. Middle River, Dundalk. You know, these type of places, they have a lot of different, you know, and remember, these people aren't voting. So certain things are happening to people because it's a design. It's not mistake. So I think it's somebody or some people who are making a lot of money off of the misery of Baltimore, and they don't want it to change. And that's why the nature has been that for so long. You know, I mean, think about it, man. We have beautiful colleges there. And like I said, we're not far from D.C., Virginia. Maryland is a very rich state. Think about it. Montgomery County, I think, is like the richest county in America, because you have all of these federal, employees who live in MoCo. That's short for Montgomery County. So it's a lot of money flowing through Baltimore, but it's not a lot of opportunity. It's like being in high school. If you're not in the cool clique, you ain't gonna get no money. And most of us are struggling, so you're not gonna ever even get to meet somebody who can actually put some money in your hand or give you an opportunity to change. So that's why, for me, with The Wire being what it was, right? Because people don't believe this, but when The Wire was brand new, a lot of Baltimore guys wasn't watching The Wire. We seen what was going on around the city because it's always movies being shot in Baltimore. But a lot of times they'll shoot in Baltimore and say it's DC. You know, like that type of thing. You know, like how they when they shoot movies, they'll say, you get my point. But like, we didn't watch The Wire. Not like we was anti-Wire. We didn't know what was going on. Like I said, it was a guy lived next door to my uncle who worked at on the show. He worked for Stringer Bell at his print shop. And he would come home with like Polaroids and stuff like that from behind the scenes. Like, but we didn't know what was going on. We young street trying to get money. We like, man, all right, well, I'm glad it's, whatever, acting. We ain't worried about showing up in no set. We worried about selling this dope. So I say that to say that after the fact that I got to watch it, and because, like you said, HBO had a run, man. They had The Wire, Sopranos, Game of Thrones, Oz. Remember Oz? Oz really started. Man. So it was just like, once I really got into it, because the name Barksdale means a lot in Baltimore, you know?
Right.
And then I'm like, then I talked to my big brother, Fat Tater. He like, yeah, man, that's about my family, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, yeah. And then, but at this point, Fat Tater had already changed his life, So I was blessed to have somebody who went through something on a major level to be able to help me pivot some.
Right.
Like, so while he was in jail and still bumping his head, I was still outside, making my own name and doing what I was doing. But it helped to have somebody who was like in that atmosphere of change, because he was growing, man. He passed now, but he was growing like into a political figure in Baltimore.
Wow.
So
you didn't come up under him in the drug game.
Right.
Okay, so you just knew him after he had already changed his life.
No, so I knew him in the drug game.
Okay.
So what I say is this. He had went to prison. He had came home, and so I knew him from as a little boy, but then he went to prison. Then he came home. Then he started to get his life together. But it was still a time in between. And even with him exiting the game, he still had the knowledge and experience. Mm-hmm. So I was in the street, because he's older than me, of course. So he would like, boy, look, if that's what you're going to do, then I'm going to tell you, when you're cutting that like that, make sure you do this like that. You know what I mean? Boy, look, if you're going to do this, then you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's like he didn't want to see me fail because he knew that what he gave me, I would give to somebody else. Like right now, he will be so proud. Hey, man, you sitting with Johnny? You know what I mean? Like, boy, you doing interviews? Because he wrote a book. He actually has a book. I'm going to get you a copy of it. Wow. It's called Growing Up Barksdale. He talks about everything, because the Wire didn't put everything in there about his family, of course, right. Because those police and the news reporter, they were doing cruddy, they were working together and they were doing cruddy stuff. See, that's what they didn't put in there. They weren't working, if you think about the show, think about McNulty, he was doing a lot, all of them, they was doing cruddy stuff, right. Illegal things to acquire certain information and everything else. Yeah. So he was exposing that and he would talk about that like, yeah, man, like they making it seem like they were just doing their job, but no, in reality, they were doing a lot more. Mm-hmm.
The police.
The police.
Yeah, who are super corrupt, obviously, in Baltimore. Yeah. Did you experience any of that? Like blatant police corruption when you were hustling? Every day.
Yeah, man, we used to call them the cruddy whites. You know what I mean? Like, man, look, the Gun Trace Task Force, the disgraced Baltimore City Police Unit.
Which they also did a show about.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. What was that? John Bergenthal, right? Yeah, he's a great actor,
John Bernthal, yeah.
Bernthal, right. So they didn't depict all of the stuff that they was doing, man. These guys were like some of the worst of the worst, but that's the nature of police, though. I mean, I think there's so many police, units that still operate in the same way that they are all across the nation. It's just that they were so corrupt that they got caught up for it. But yeah, man, what?
Well, were they robbing drug dealers?
Robbing, killing, doing hits for people so it'll work like this. Okay, one of them, they come to me, right? They come shake me down or something like that, right? And they say, they put me in a car or something like that, like they're gonna take me to the jail or something. They catch me with something. And they say, hey, Carl, we see you out here making money. Now remember, this is a police talking to you. We see you out here making money, but you ain't gotta go to jail tonight. I got a deal for you. I got 2 bricks of coke. Just sell it and give me my part, and I make sure that it keep coming. You'll have protection out here, and anybody who against you, we'll knock them off. Wow. So for somebody who that sounds good to, they're gonna be like, all right, Johnny down the street from me, he got them big 30 pieces, I need him gone. Guess what? Johnny will never be heard from again. Yeah, man, they was murder for hire, man.
Was police where they were making people disappear too?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
That is gangster shit. That is gangster shit. Yeah, bro. So let's talk about your ascension through the street. When did you jump off the porch?
I jumped off the porch, I would say kind of late. I was a late bloomer.
And what kind of family too? Did you have family selling drugs, hooked on drugs? Like, yeah. What was home life like?
So I jumped off the porch when I probably was about 16.
Which is late.
Yeah, late. In relative
for
terms.
Baltimore.
Yeah, for Baltimore, right. But come on, I had friends outside 11, 12, stuff like that. So growing up, my mom, she had passed from drug abuse. She was a heroin addict. And she had actually, and she shot needles. So she had OD'd, and my grandmom had found me in the house like 2 days later after she had already passed. So then my grandmother raised me. My grandmother, she was a hustler. Like my grandmother, she actually like sold loose cigarettes, hot plates, frozen cups, candy, whatever it was. So I grew up in a house that was essentially a store. So it taught me supply and demand, how to count, because somebody can come with a 20 and they want something that's, $1.70. I got to make sure that change right. I ain't give them more. I ain't give them less. So my mom passed. My father had a history of addiction. My grandmother had 3 kids total. My mom was the oldest, and she had a daughter and a son. They both had their own addiction issues as well. So coming up in the house, I just learned how to hustle, and that could be applied to anything. My first plug was my great-grandmother. She gave me like 3 pounds of weed. Now, the thing with the weed was this. She had a flood, right? I think she had about 3 floods, and it was in a plastic bag. And I think it just sat, it just kept over, I don't even know how long. I remember when she told me. She said, I got this weed. Do not tell your grandmother about it. I'm in high school at this time, right? And she because I'm
how old is your great-grandmother at this point?
Who knows, man?
40? I'm just kidding.
Maybe 50. I don't know, man. She was old school. Yeah, this was back when
most people have never met their great-grandmother.
Oh, okay.
She's the plug. She's putting you on.
Yeah, man. And I took the weed, and I'm talking about. I don't know what happened to this weed. I know what she told me, but I know it was no THC on it. And I knew at that time I smoked, and I had smoked massive blunts of this, and it would never get me high. So I don't know if she had it for years or whatever it is, because it wasn't as if like I was working for her. It was just one day I was over her house, and I was just like, man, I'm in high school. I'm like, man, I need some money, blah, blah, blah. And she just came with the idea, well, look, I got this. If you can do anything, you can take all of it. If you can do anything with it, it's yours. Don't tell your grandmother, though. My grandmother wouldn't have went for that. So I took it. I did what I could. I talked to some of the OGs around the way. They said spray it with some alcohol, with some Jack Daniels, actually. I did it. I sold enough of it just to be able to cop like an ounce of weed, Right. Remember, this back when Reggie was out, mids. It wasn't no Zy or nothing like that. It was just regular weed, especially on the East Coast. I know on the West Coast, they always had hydroponic weed. We didn't have that. We had sticks and seeds and shit now weed. But either way, so I get it. I did what I had to do. And it taught me something, in that breath, because remember, I was a late bloomer. So 16, 17, that was like the first time that I ever actually sold anything that wasn't stuff that my grandmother had that was like frozen cup cigarettes and stuff like that. But I already knew supply and demand. So I'm like, okay. So as time passes on, I'm in high school, I get better weed, I'm selling that, I graduate. Then I get into the streets. So I always had a big cousin who was always in the streets, and when I got to a certain point, I actually went with him where he was at, which was a whole different projects in South Baltimore. And it was kind of like coming a part of a family. He already had a whole setup. All I had to do is go and be a stand-up guy. You understand? As long as I never displayed any weakness, I wasn't a sucker, I didn't make them look bad, I was good, which is fairly easy for a stand-up guy. Just don't be a bitch. You know what I mean? Yeah. Don't snitch on nobody. Don't steal nothing. Look out for your brothers. Want for your brothers as you want for yourself. So after becoming part of that, that's when my life really started to change on the criminal aspect. And at this time, this when Fat Tater was still in jail. So I'm not around him at this time. But I'm learning the game. And as I'm learning the game, I'm excelling. And in hindsight, I wasn't making like tens of thousands of dollars. But what I did have that I think a lot of people never had was power. I had the power from the people I was with that I can make anything happen as far as violence. It's people that I know who sell a lot of drugs and all that, and they got to pay somebody to do something, or they just chumps. You could put $10,000 on somebody's head and get them gone, but you settling for whatever it is because you're a coward at heart. But I, on the other hand, I was in a position where I might not have been making the most money, but I had power and influence.
What was your function in the organization?
What was your role?
An enforcer,
Okay.
and a hustler. So
how many people, like, describe this operation, like or a typical heroin spot, a typical dope spot? How many lookouts? How many pitchers, runners? People counting the trap, checking the stash,
and
how much do they get paid? How does the payment work?
That's a very good question. So when you're selling dope, man, especially in Baltimore, you're talking about, man, you got people making $30,000, $40,000 a day. You know what I mean? Easy. But I'm talking about then. I don't know what the fentanyl is doing or nothing like that. And I'm not in the streets. But so let's just say, but it will be weekly pay. All right, so this is how it works. All right, let's say we made $30,000 a day, right?
The spot,
yeah. Right? It will be a weekly pay. So that means at the end of the week, so whoever block it is, they taking whatever they're taking. I'm gonna tell you from the hierarchy down, from the guy who actually has the block, whose stuff it is. Okay, so the guy who run the block, he might be getting maybe about, let's say like $20,000 a week. You feel me? But out that 20, 10 to 15 is his money a week. 5 or 10 of it goes to the workers. So the guy who runs the block, who is under the guy who's giving him the work, he gets 10,000. All right, so now you got 10,000. So now you're paying. So you might got 2 different hitters, but one hitter every day. Then you might be alternating. So your hitter is the one who actually, when the people come up with the money, they the one who giving them the drugs. So your hitter might get paid $1,000 a week. So that's about 9,000 left. All right, you want to have about 3 to 4 cornermen, so you'll pay them probably about $1,000 a week.
And a cornerman is what?
A cornerman is somebody who's going to stand on the corner, who's not selling any drugs. He never touches any drugs, but he's making sure that when the police is coming. So most blocks got a keyword that that the police is coming. So when you yell it out, you're not just saying police. Yeah. You're not saying 5-0. You might be like one of my around one of my old blocks I used to be. We should be like Trayvon. So it seemed like we just calling somebody named Trayvon, but we actually saying the police is coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all right. So for let's say those 4.
So they split 1,000. Four corner boys split $1,000.
No. Remember, we're making 30 a day. They get $1,000
so
each.
Each of them get 1,000.
Right.
That's really good money.
You want your people to be happy.
Wow.
I'm making $30,000 a day. I can afford to pay y'all this. And then remember, most of these people get high anyway, so they're gonna spend some of that 1,000 back with you anyway.
Wow, is that right?
You know what I mean? So you're not just having people who are just like upstanding citizens. No, These are people who are part of the drug game. They get high or whatever like that. But amongst their peers, they are the creme de la creme. I'm making $1,000 a week. So let's just get back to the math. So all right, so the hitter 1,000, the cornerman, because you don't want the cornermen are not on one corner. You got to have them spread out, 4 corners. So one cornerman can yell down the block, Trayvon, and then the other cornerman who hit, he throws it to the block, Trayvon. So now the hitter knows, who has the drugs, that the police are coming. And the guy who runs the block, he's actually the one who's going to decide how things move from this point. Like, yo, shut it down for now, whatever like that. Like, just go and walk off. Let's go get some lunch. Till it cool down some.
He's the manager.
He's the manager, right. So the manager might get, so the hitter is 1,000. The cornermen, 4 cornermen, they're 1,000. The manager, the guy who run the block, he might get around about 3,000. You understand what I'm saying? A week. And the other 2,000, that'll go to, you got other people. It's miscellaneous money, because remember, we're on the block. So we might be giving the old lady across the street some money, you know what I mean, to make sure that we can keep some packs in there. Right. We buying the kids ice cream on the block. Somebody come through who done, whatever. That's just like petty money, petty cash.
Right.
For whatever expenses that might need to happen throughout that block for operations. Remember, you're still feeding people, because you got to feed your crew. So when it's lunchtime, everybody getting a chicken box, whatever it is. Right. You want to make sure that you're treating your people fair, that's how they stay loyal, and that's how you keep making 30,000 a day.
So 30,000 a day, how much product is that? Is that like a half a brick, a whole brick?
30,000 a day. Well, it's not a half a brick at all, because remember, it's being cut. Remember, we're talking about having grams of heroin, and this is heroin at the time, not fentanyl. You know, so let's just say a quarter brick, something like that. You know, but the numbers vary,
Right?
Because I might got something that I can step on it 10 times.
Right.
You know, so now I'm not really using a quarter brick, but it's coming out to that.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Okay, so just say it is a quarter. Say it's like 9 ounces of raw heroin. How many bags does that make up after it's stepped on? It's a pretty good product. After you put the mix on it, yeah. How many transactions is that? $30,000, dude.
Yo, that's a hard question.
It's impossible.
Yeah,
but like,
it's a hard question.
But I mean, okay.
And we're using gel caps, not bags.
Right. So it's the tops, right?
Yeah, it's the gel caps. Like the same gel cap if you was to take a vitamin in, you know, or whatever.
So that's why you say pills.
Pills, right.
Okay. So Cavario, when he put his slang down in Baltimore, he sold New York style. He put it in the bundles, like the 100 pops.
Okay.
Like $100 gets you 10 bags. So actually kept him in the little papers.
Right. Yeah, I've never sold dope like that.
Maybe that was to differentiate himself.
Right,
I don't know.
And that's probably, I believe that's how they did it up north. But in Baltimore, you have what is, you have gel caps. You have the Pee-wees, which are the very small ones. Then you have the ones, which are like your standard size. Then you have your double O's and your triple O's. Your triple O's are the biggest gel cap you can get. And it's like a horse pill. You know, so imagine the delight of a user who see a pill that big that's filled to the top with premium work. You know, like, man, so I'm telling you, I've seen it. So again, just to get back to your original point, so that's the function of it. If I'm making 30,000 a week and I'm paying people
a day,
30,000 a day, and that's how people get paid. Plus, you would pay people a daily stipend as well. You know, that's what comes out of that 2,000 because, again, these are users. So they need to go home with some pills so they can get up on time early, everything. You understand? Because they going to party when they get off.
Right.
But you got to be here at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning. Right. You know, that's the difference between heroin and crack. A person can be on dope and have a job for 30 years, go there every day.
Right.
Crackhead ain't gonna hold no job.
That's fascinating. Why? I thought heroin was worse for you. Like the perception was heroin turns people into unrecognizable, dysfunctional junkies. How is it that crack, which is just cocaine, which is the most widely used illegal drug in the world, especially in America, it's cocaine. Crack's just, that in rock form with a bunch of, baking soda in it. Why does that turn a person worse than...
You're wrong, Johnny. Crack cocaine is the worst thing to ever happen to the world. Crack cocaine, listen to me. Crack cocaine takes your soul from you. That's why a crackhead will come clean your car, your house for $2, $5, or whatever like that. See, the thing is, what you're saying is that's based on the physical addiction of heroin. See, you'll be sick, you'll be hurt, you can't function if you don't have it. That's what heroin does to you. Crack cocaine is a mental thing. See, when people smoke crack, what happens is, this is the effect of crack. You are now the Flash. You understand me? And it's a very short high. Let me give you an example. When they smoke crack, in their mind, they are moving so much faster than everybody else. That's why they clean your car, wipe your walls down. That's why crackheads will work for you for such a small fee, because when they do crack, it gives them an explosion of not, I won't say strength, but like speed. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying like a crackhead run up the street faster than you per se, but you ain't catching no crackhead either.
No.
But what I'm saying is, it's the psychological. When they hit it, it does something to their brain that everybody else is moving slower than them. That's what I mean by you become the Flash. You know, in the Marvel movies, when you see the Flash or whatever, like, oh, well, Flash is DC. But, you know, when you see the speedsters and everybody else moving in slow motion, but they like, you know, that's what the crackhead experiences when they do crack. And I don't want you to minimize it when you say it's only cocaine with some baking soda. No. That, whatever that chemical compound is, man, it does something that most crackheads, right? This is how I go. When they start doing crack, and most drugs, when they start doing crack, they are stuck at the age that they started doing it. They don't grow past that until they can actually quit. I know people got clean in a crack house because when you're done, you're done. When you hit your rock bottom, you're there, you're done. In my program, if somebody come and say, man, yeah, Johnny, my brother, man, he just dropped me off. I'm just going to come to this program and do this for him. If anybody's trying to be in recovery for anybody other than themselves, it's not going to work. You have to do it for you. Recovery is a very selfish process. You got to put you first. But crack, man, listen, crack is going to take everything from you. I mean, addiction in general. But I'm telling you, in my experience, man, a dope fiend can have a job, hold a job, have a family, everything. But when that crack come in the picture, man, that crack, and some dope fiends don't do crack. Some crackheads don't do dope, you know. But
well, look, I take you're on. I'm speaking to somebody on good authority.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
I've just, you know, I do know a lot about the streets just from talking to guys like you, and you know, Cavario told me because he witnessed it firsthand. Like, crack got a lot of people off heroin. And maybe that's bad, but like, you know, Rick Ross, Freeway Rick Ross told me, he's like, dude, I know smokers to this day that I used to serve back in the 80s. So I don't know. That's
what was the context of what he said?
He's saying crack again, because we're talking about the unfairness of the crack laws,
Right. Oh, yeah.
compared to powder cocaine. And my contention, and many people's contention, is those laws are bullshit because crack is just coke in smokable form, and it wears off quickly. So maybe it makes you go get it more. Right. Whereas coke, you can kind of do. It's not as intense, and so it doesn't create the junkie effect so quickly. But on its face, I mean, you could do coke. Coke is disgusting. I've been to labs in Colombia, literally, where I've seen how it's. What is the difference? There's baking soda in Coke a lot of times, or there's gasoline, ethanol. So that's my. Yeah, I really,
I get it.
I really don't like the scare, the fear around crack was something pushed by the white man to justify a lot of these like really, really unfair sentences.
See, that was based on, number one, I mean, remember.
That was actually Charles Rangel, the black guy from, you know, Harlem. There was a lot of sellouts in the black community that were responsible for that, for the crack laws too. But anyways.
Right. And you know, Joe Biden had a part in it as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. You know, I believe he was the author of that law when he was a senator.
Yeah,
and then look how karma comes around that now your son, who's been afforded every luxury in the world, is smoking coke.
That's my favorite thing.
That's crazy, right?
Favorite. Oh God, such sweet karma, dude.
But
the guy seems like a good time though.
Listen, man.
And he's partying with middle-aged hookers. I'm like, this guy's like a normal guy. He's like your everyday American.
Right.
Okay, but let's get back to this real quick. So you worked, so that's a really insane amount of money. Yeah, 30 grand a day.
A day, man.
And that's just one out of, God, how many heroin spots in the city? Dozens, maybe?
Hundreds.
So do you think you were serving, if 30 grand, okay, do you think 200 people a day? Do you think it was hundreds of people that spent that kind of money?
Hundreds of people, hundreds.
So times hundreds, you're talking about like tens of thousands of users that are coming every day.
Easy. And remember, again, just keep in mind that we're talking about capsules. So the capsules are, they're easier for users to use. See, when you're talking about them cellophane bags and all that, you got to pop it open, you got to whatever. See, with a cap, they can just pop it off and dump it down their nose. I've seen that. Wow. You know, like, yeah, man. So it's like, it's instant gratification for them. So if I'm a trash man, but I'm a dope fiend. So I'm like, okay, so what I need to do is, I need to go down there, holler at Johnny and them, get me these 7 pills, you know, that I can do. I'm going to do 3 of them a day. I'm going to do 3 of them at the work, and I'm going to have 1 in the morning to hold me out so I can get back to Johnny, and I'm just going to keep on, you understand? And then you got to think, so to get back to our original point that you asked when I was telling you about if I was a rich white guy with a daughter with a habit, Cabot and I'm in Wyoming or something like that, right? The thing is that we've seen, the statistics have shown that the panhandlers in Baltimore, right? These are not Baltimoreans. A lot of these people are coming from out of state. So they get stuck.
Yeah.
You know, so now you got somebody like, holding a sign, can I get $1? Can I get $1? But they're from a whole nother state who came here for treatment, and then they got caught up in the whole mix of what's actually going on as far as the drug trade.
San Francisco's like that too.
Okay.
Because and a lot of the laws are really lax around using, so you can get caught with as many drugs as you want if you're just a user. Right. So what that does is it brings more drug dealers to the area, like the Tenderloin in San Francisco, and it makes the packages better. So then you have junkies and users from all over the country coming into that neighborhood. It's like a reinforcing cycle. So Baltimore kind of seems similar.
Right.
But anyways, so you've got the manager who's making like $4 or $5 grand a week. And then you've got the guy who owns the spot.
Right.
The guy who's getting the wholesale bricks from the Connect.
Right.
And he's
which to put it in your perspective, right? He would be like from The Wire, he would be like a Cheese. Remember Cheese?
Yeah, Method Man.
Yeah, Method Man. So Method Man would be the guy who's giving the guy who's running the block. Right. You understand? Because those players in The Wire, they weren't on the block. Right. You understand? They were bosses. Right. You know, the people in the co-op and all that. Right. But those are the ones who's collecting the 30 a day. Those type of people. Right. And then they're going back to the Prop Joe and to the meetings and saying, all right, well, this is what I got to put to the re-up or whatever like that. Right. You know, so
is the goal of the drug dealer in Baltimore to become a wholesaler, to really be getting, have connects in South America or Mexico, and then just to be bringing it into the city and be invisible and just hit off guys that have different corners? Or do some guys say, I want to make it my career to own strips because that's where the most money is when I get these chickens and I've put the whack on it?
That's a good question. I mean, it depends on the individual. I mean,
well, in your experience, I guess, like what did you see?
What I'll speak for myself. Yeah. I was the second example that you gave. I wanted to get, every time that I got a brick, I broke it all the way down to nickels, dimes, and 20s. Because that would give me like such a larger profit margin. Right. So I'm not selling ounces. I'm not selling 8 balls. I'm not selling 4.5. None of that.
This is Coke?
Coke.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I'm talking about Coke. Yeah. In particular, hard, Ready Rock. Right. So for me, I would always do that because it's a lot of peace in the wholesale because you don't have to deal with the street level sales or nothing like that. But it's a lot more treachery when you're dealing with other millionaires and stuff like that who might, just line you up to set you up. Like, all right, yeah, man, bring me 10 bricks. Bring me 50 bricks or whatever like that. But you got 100 bricks. Like, all right, and then you get there, and something happened. In comparison to what you have, and you're like, okay, well, I can sit on this. It's almost money in the bank. If let's say, if I have, if I take 4 ounces and I make out of that 4 ounces a certain amount of pills, right? Now, when I say pills for this, they're not in the gel caps. I'm talking about 12-12s. Like, if you think about little baggies that, like, how the store would sell them, they would be bags that you would put buttons in and stuff like that.
So you're actually selling crack in plastic baggies, the 12-12s.
12-12s.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and that I
think in New York they sold vials. They sold crack vials.
Right. Well, we sold vials too, but the thing with vials is they're harder to conceal. See, we used to have pills in our mouth and stuff like that. So I used to be able to have like 15, 20 pills in my mouth. They all sealed up at the top, but I got like 20 dimes in my mouth. And as I'm going to see my plays, all right, you want 3, boom, boom. It's a lot easier that way than to have a whole thing full of vials that you got to have in your pocket or under your balls or whatever, So
you look like a chipmunk. You just got, you can have a mouth just bulging with pills. Yeah.
But for me, it worked. You know, because the conveyance, and remember, I'm not holding these all day. You know, I'm bagging these up, or I got a bag that I'm taking these bags out of, and I'm just going to go see people. So I'm dropping off 4 here, you know what I mean, 7 here, whatever. You know, the street level, I believe the longevity is in that part, because when you start dealing with other plugs, other people who got hundreds of thousands and all of that, you become more of a target for them. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like if you ran out of something, like, yeah, I got a guy, your intentions might be to kill my guy and take whatever it is.
Yeah.
Maybe kill me and my guy. Right. you know? Yeah. But if I'm just dealing with, if I'm making 10,000, you know, every 2 days, just on the street level, just off of having nickel, dimes, and 20s, that can bring you a little bit more peace. It might sound crazy because we're talking about selling drugs, but for me, it just brought me more peace,
right?
You know, because I know what I'm doing and who I'm dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, and when you're dealing with, you know, 40 bricks of cocaine, right? Like you're always a target for the feds. I mean, that's a life sentence. Right. You know, nowadays you can't really retail. You can only put a couple of points on it.
Right.
So like you're risking huge football numbers in prison just to make like a 40 bricks. You can wholesale them for maybe make 80 grand profit.
Right.
But you could make that stretching out a couple of keys.
You understand?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just have to be down in the muck, though.
That's
you know.
it. Yeah, and you have the luxury of doing it at your pace. Your schedule is yours. Hey, I'm gonna be outside around this time. You know, you might have, let's say, 1,000 dimes, right? You know, okay, that's $10,000. All right, so that's my quota for this next 3 days. But that's all yours. You know, you don't have nobody breathing down your back because they done threw you something, or you know, done gave you something on consignment, or you selling weight, and you got to make a decision like, okay, I could sell him this for this, but I could sell it myself. Nope, I didn't have that problem because I know I'm putting everything to the streets.
Right.
You know.
And it was crack.
Crack. Yeah.
And did you have somebody cooking it for you, or did you have a mix yourself?
So.
Like a recipe, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So how I found out how to cook, I found that some people use microwaves, different things. Pyrex Amber Visionware was my best friend.
Shout out.
Yeah, man. I had this.
We should get him we should be a Pyrex. I should have a sponsor from Pyrex. There's a lot of drug dealers that watch this show.
Okay.
But I think crack cocaine ruined the Pyrex brand. Pyrex is just a big cooking cup, essentially.
But I mean, no. Pyrex
It's a pot.
They have multiple different kinds of cookware. Right. So they have pots. They got baking sheets. They got all kind of. But it has to be visionware. See, the Visionware was the one that you can take straight from, let's say your grandma. She's making a tuna casserole in the oven, and she put it right into the freezer, and it don't crack, it don't none of that. See, you can go get some Pyrex right now, and that joint will break on you as soon as you understand? So it had to be the Visionware. Okay. And most of the Visionware was amber colored. You know, so it wasn't transparent, but it had that little, yeah, man, but... that was the way that I found, you know, the best way. And anytime I was cooking, I would always put maybe about 3 grams on every ounce. You know, that would make it what I needed it to be. You feel me? But when I actually got up to the 10 bricks I had my own, the gentleman I was getting it from was already cooking. He was a chef. See, I ain't got a chef if you're a chef. You understand what I'm saying?
So you were buying 10 bricks cooked up into crack.
Right.
That's And what was your price on like a kilo that was already cooked up?
He was charging me probably about like 24.
24 G's, yeah. And then you sell out a key in just dimes. Did you sell nickels?
Nickels, dimes, and 20s.
Okay, cool. So you just stretch that bitch out. So what can you make off of one key?
A little more than double.
Yeah. And that takes you about a week?
About a week.
And
a 7-day week, not a 5-day week.
And then how many workers do you have to get that off? Just you?
Just me.
You were a one-man shop. Okay. So how would you
At this time that I'm telling you about. Okay. Remember, I'm jumping around a little bit.
Yeah.
At this time, see, like when I first started hustling after I got that weed from my grandmother and them, I went out to projects, like I said, with my cousin. That was O'Donnell Heights. That's in South Baltimore. And out there, that's when I said, like, I was making maybe about maybe $2,500, $3,000 a week or something like that, which wasn't a lot of money, but it was good money for me at that time. And like I said, I had power, you know, and I'm telling you, like, it's nothing like it in hindsight. You know, it's like, yeah, somebody might be making $30,000 a day, right? But you can get whacked today. You understand what I'm saying? It's just different, man. And it's crazy how, in hindsight, as a gentleman who's gone so far past that, but when I look back at it, I see the mental illness and how all hustlers thought and how we think and how we actually move through the streets and stuff like that. It's like a dog-eat-dog world. You know, everybody's lions and hyenas. And what I learned is if you are a wolf in sheep's clothing, you can survive a lot longer than a wolf who can't put sheep's clothing on. Because when wolves just see a wolf, you always a target. But you gotta be able to, you understand what I'm saying? You gotta be able to finesse it and move through what it is that you're looking to accomplish.
Well, what were you looking to accomplish as an enforcer? Like, were you sticking up big-time drug dealers?
No. Enforcer being somebody, I never was a stick-up kid. You know, that was never my thing. As an enforcer, I would just make sure that where me and my guys were at, it was always secure. You feel me? So I'm out there, I might have like 6 other guys out there with me, right? Younger guys, and they hustling, you know, they all hustling for us and stuff like that. But we all working together to make one pot grow. You know, so as the elder, sometimes when I'm out there, I gotta make sure that even though I'm selling, you know, crack myself, I'm still making sure they're good. So I might only have, let's say, 10 pills on me, just for argument's sake, right? Just make a quick $100, or if they 20s, $200, just to put in my pocket because I want to go get some weed. Something that I don't even have to do. But I'm out here, the money's coming, they have the packs. So they really working.
Right.
But I'm just like passively just, you know what I mean? But my goal and my mission and my job from my big brothers, you know, was to make sure that they're good, you know, and that was essentially my role. Just, you know what I mean? Just play your part. Just be a stand-up guy. Don't let nothing happen to none of us.
Now, why did you not get into Heroin? Like, when you started owning the shop, like, why did you choose crack?
Because, as I said, heroin takes more structure, you know? And a lot of times when you have all of those employees, because I've been a part of a lot of different heroin shops. I've ran blocks, I've had blocks and all that, but those are more people that could potentially snitch on you.
For sure.
You know, and as the culture started changing, you know, I was like, man, look, I'm good with what I'm doing, because I know I'm not gonna tell on myself. You know, all it takes is somebody, even if you're paying them good, to say, oh, I'm already on parole or probation, I can't take this charge, man. It was Carl. He was the one giving it to me. You know, he gonna come drop off some more packs around 3. And now the DEA, whoever waiting for you. You know, so I'm just saying, for me, I made the most money I've ever made off of crack. You know, I've sold, you know, a lot of dope too. And probably arguably, when I was in the streets, I probably could cut dope better than I could cook crack, you know, because it's crazy, Johnny. And I don't want people to take, nothing I'm saying is to glorify anything. This is just my story. When it came to cutting dope, it was almost like an art form. You took pride in what you did, man. You know, you get a deck of cards, you get you a mirror, you know what I mean? You get your Bonita, your Quina, you know. Well, in Baltimore, we made it a 3-in-1. Some do 2-in-1. I went to other towns where they only put mannitol on the dope. And what they do is, like, their dope fiends, they call it rubbernecking. When you come to Baltimore, you're gonna see people lean. I'm talking about go all the way to the floor, but they don't fall.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You understand?
The flexibility.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you. So, but cutting dope, man, it's like taking your quina and sifting it 100 times. Taking your bonita, you know, sifting it, your blocks, you know, 100 times. Then sifting it together 100 times. You know, getting your grams, sifting it 100 times, sifting it another, because you want the right hit. That's what it's all about. You want somebody to see, In the streets, they say, if they talking good about your dope, say it hit and it hold. See, hold mean, I'm not gonna get sick from it. Hit mean, when I sniffed it, man, it gave me that good, it hit me and I got that good drain, that good rush and all of everything that I needed. So now you sift that, your grams again, then you sift it together.
Yeah, it's like baking a cake. It's like cooking.
Yeah.
Whereas you're right, crack, there's not much to it. It's pretty much just baking soda, maybe one other element added into and mixed into the.
But you gotta know what you're doing with crack too, because a lot of people, what they do is it's called whip, whereas though they'll put it together and it'll be like some mediocre. It'll burn down, melt down. See, that's how also we learn too. My big brother and them taught me, like, whenever you're getting some crack or something like that, right? Because sometimes somebody might not sell you the powder, but you need to get on because you got people who waiting for it. You know what I mean? So they like, I'm not selling you powder, but I got this hard for you. But how you would test it out is you would get a piece. I mean, when you get in the brick, you take a triangle out of it, number one. You know what I mean? And you see what it is on the powder tip. But like when it came to the crack, you would take a piece, take a lighter, melt it down. If it melt all the way down like butter, then most likely you got something good. But if you melting it, it ain't moving, it start popping and all that, you got some trash. And ain't nobody gonna buy it. So it's an art to cooking coke as well, because when you get that oil, man, and you see it start to lock up and all that, I mean, for me, it was always customer service. It was always like, I could stand behind something good. So if I know this is my table manners, this is my work, and you come back, I ain't like that, I know you lying. Because I just now gave out 100 teas, I put it together myself, I peeled it, you understand what I'm saying? Like back in the day, we didn't have access to pill presses. Like where you put the gel caps all in it and you just dump it on there and you slide the card and it fills them up and then you put the tops on them. No, we had to use to hand tap them. Take the bottom part of the pill, tap it in, put the top on it. You know what I mean? Have a mask on, whatever, because it'll get in your system. I know people who actually died from that, at the table, but they don't have no mask and no gloves on. It gets in your pores, man. And you can OD. That's what happened. It was an unintentional OD. Wow. So just to answer your question, I preferred to sell crack because crack, it was easier. And you always got more time at that time for like heroin because the overdoses was going up. But to your other point, the reason why they were smashing us a lot with those crack laws was because in the eyes of the government, you're some sort of scientist that you know how to take this powder and turn it to this. That's what they was trying to say.
Wizards. Yeah.
Like, how do you know how to do this? You are a threat to the whole community because you can keep doing this and crack is doing this and,
What's the difference between the flows in Baltimore, the movements between crack spots and dope spots? Obviously dope fiends, they need it all day. They need it before work. It's literally a medicine to keep them from getting sick. Crack is more mental.
Right.
But do you feel like there's more opioid heroin junkies in Baltimore, or is there more stimulant cocaine addicts, or is it about even? What do you think?
I will honestly say it's probably about even because nobody has a block where they just sell dope at. You're selling crack too.
Okay, I was going to ask you that. Okay, so there's mixed. It's mixed.
But what we would do is we would never have our hitter who's selling the dope, selling the crack too. You'll mess the money up. It'll be whatever. So you might go in the hole to go get the dope, but when you come out and you say, hey, I need some ready too, but you would let us know. So by the time they get past one of the corner men and they like, I want a 1-and-1. That's one crack, one dope. So we already know when you go in the hole and get that one, whoever got the crack, who hitting that, they gonna have one ready for you. You understand what I'm saying?
I see.
So it's just like, you wanna have a one-stop shop, honestly.
Right. So most people that have corners or streets, blocks, they're selling both.
Yeah.
Now, what about weed?
And weed. No,
I was going to ask you that. Okay.
That's why I said one-stop shop.
Okay, so weed does get trapped like it's a hard narcotic.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a lot, nowadays it's a lot of smoke shops, pop-up shops all through Baltimore and Maryland. I haven't smoked weed in so long, right? I didn't realize that other states didn't have that. I thought it like, so I got a buddy who down in Florida, he said that it's not, like you still got to have a marijuana card in Florida or whatever part. I think he was in, I forgot what part. I'm not sure if it's Florida as a state or it was the city he was in. But in Baltimore, police could be right here. You could roll a blunt right in front of them and smoke it right in front of them. And no charge, no nothing. Like, but it wasn't like that originally.
No.
Years ago when I was in the game, man, they would smash you. You know what I mean? Like, you'll have a nickel bag of some weed on you and they taking you to jail.
Right.
It was crazy.
So you went to jail quite a few times.
Yeah, I went to jail,
which is normal.
Right.
Any corner boy, kid, manager that's out on the block.
Right.
Yeah, the cops are just posted up. It's not a big secret what's going on. So you're gonna catch some tickets. You know, you're gonna catch some charges. How many times did you go to jail when you were working? When you originally started working for your cousin?
That's when I was getting locked up the most. House raid after house raid.
Right.
Maybe about like 13 times.
Yeah, just in and out.
Yeah.
You said you would
See,
get
I never did no long bits.
Right.
But I was constantly getting locked up and stuff like that.
And you said you would get out, and sometimes you'd be back working same day.
Yeah. As soon as you get out, I mean, because the job don't change. You know, I got people who waiting on me. You know, and the worst thing, it's just like this. Like if we opened up a pizza shop right on the corner, and we got some good pizza, right, and then like let's say we're open for a week or two or something like that. People loving us, and then we just don't open one day. There's people who's looking for that pizza. They're like, where's that Johnny Pizza at? It's the same thing with drugs. You know, and then sometimes people just prefer to deal with you than somebody else, even if they got better drugs. So for me, every time I got locked up, I look forward to getting back to selling drugs.
Yeah. So the reason you didn't do any prison time is because you're a juvenile. And are these just possession charges?
No.
Like how does it work in a city where drugs are rampant and everybody is always getting caught selling them or using them? How much do you need to up before you get like real jail time?
I think I was just lucky, man, because none of my charges was juvenile. My charges were all adult, but I would get probation before judgment. I would get, so I would sit down on the charges 8 months, 9 months, 6 months, stuff like that. But ultimately, what would happen is I would cop out. I would plead guilty to it. You know, and I would constantly just keep getting. I've been on so many different probations, man.
Yeah.
You know, so that's really what happened. But the last time I got booked, when I was up, when I had like a lot of coke and stuff, and I had a real good lawyer, he was like, man, he really broke down my record to me. He was like, you don't realize, man, that every time that you was taking them probations, you was your record up. He said, man. He said, you got double distribution and all this other. He said, yo, your record is really, really bad. But I didn't think so because I'm like, well, they keep letting me out.
Yeah.
You know, I keep getting probation. I can't be that bad. But him as the professional, he like, nah, man, I'm telling you, like, nah, you have a really up record. I remember I was going to take my, I was, it was crazy, right? So at court, the city and the county charge. So now I'm sitting over MTC, that's Metropolitan Transitional Center. That's the penitentiary in Baltimore. So I'm sitting over there, and I got a city and a county charge. So see, these are things that I learned, through the years. Now, in hindsight. So anytime I went to court for the city, they would always say, "We got to wait to see what the county do." So I didn't know that Annapolis being the capital of Maryland, that meant that the judges in Annapolis word rules over every other judge that's in that state. So they kept telling me, so I would go to the city, they postpone it till I go to the county postpone it, then I go to the city. So you talking about almost like 13 months of just keep on going, postpone. So I told my lawyer, I said, man, you know what? I said, man, let's take it to trial. So now I'm in Anne Arundel County, and I'm sitting there, and Anne Arundel County is a predominantly white county. And as I'm sitting there, I got my suit on, all that, but I'm booked. I'm not going to court from the street. I'm already still locked up. So I'm in there, and we start picking the jewelry. So these two white guys sat behind me, and they like, him? Oh, he's guilty. I don't care what they say. I'm pleading guilty. Well, not pleading guilty. I'm gonna say.
And you overheard that?
Yes, they like as close as the wall is behind me. Oh, he's guilty. And in my mind, I'm like, man, I got my hair cut. I got you know what I mean? So, and I start, because they tell you look forward, like don't be looking at the jewelry and all that. So I'm like, man, it's a lot of white people in here, man. So I called my lawyer, Roland Brown. I'm like, they just said I'm guilty. They don't care what you say. He said, man, he said, you in Annapolis, what you think? I said, oh, nah, man, no. We ain't gonna do this one then, But this was my blessing in disguise, right? The judge that was overseeing my case, he was like a 30-year judge, and he was retiring in like the next 45 days. My lawyer went to him and said, Mr. Johnson might have got caught, with these drugs, but because they gave me a large amount. That's like a Kingpin charge.
Okay, so you got raided, or what happened?
Raided.
This is when you're working with bricks now,
Right.
Of crack. And what did they find on you?
When they raided my house, they found fentanyl, weed, and cocaine.
Okay.
Right.
And how much? And how many? It was already bagged up.
It was already bagged up. Yeah. So my guy had hit me, and we was gonna go up northeast Baltimore. There was a street off of York Road. He had called me. We had already been dibbling dabbling up there. So I'm living in South Baltimore this time, and he's like, "Man, we've been going up there every so often, like a couple times in the past week, just giving out some, some pills of crack and some boy and girl cracking dope. Just seeing what it's like, right?" And when we got out there, we seen that we had a good reception. Like, okay, we can get some money up here. Like, okay, because he was kind of from up that way, like Old York Road. So the night that I'm bagging up, he hit me. He like, yo, we still doing what we doing this morning, right? He hit me like around 5. I'm like, yeah. No, he hit me like around 3. I'm like, yeah. My door get kicked in like around 6. So I'm like, yeah, I'm putting it together now. So I'm at the table, like one of them stand-up mirrors, the tall ones. So I got it laying across my coffee table in my living room. You know what I mean? But I got everything separated, its own spot. I got the weed, I got the ready, I got the boy. You know what I mean? So
You had fentanyl.
yeah.
Okay. And were you mixing that with the heroin?
Well, there was no heroin at that time.
Okay.
It was just fentanyl.
Okay. So you were actually sold fentanyl. I didn't realize that. Okay. And you were selling it in powder?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So fentanyl comes in the powder. Fentanyl is
right, but I mean, I don't think it's sold in powder much anymore.
yeah.
Still, you think it's still sold mostly in powder?
Yeah. How else do it come? Tell me. Put me down.
I mean, I think it gets pressed into pills in Mexico, and I think the drug busts I see, these big fentanyl busts, is mostly pills.
Okay.
That's what I see.
Right.
But what year did you catch this charge?
So we're talking about like 2018.
Okay, that's still pretty early into the fentanyl phenomena. Fentanyl really hit about 2014, 2015 is when Chapo.
So it's still kind of early.
Yeah. So 2018 is still pretty early. And I think that's why you saw a lot of overdoses, because it did come in powder.
Right.
And coke dealers were putting it in coke and heroin, and people didn't know, and they were dying. I knew people in Hollywood, California, white people that were sniffing coke and it had fent in it, and they kicked the bucket. So I think what the cartel started doing is pressing that on the Mexico side into pills.
Okay.
So it's colorful. So it's clear. You can't just chop it into white cocaine or heroin powder anymore. Right. It's a way to it's smart. It's a way to keep so many people from dying.
Right. No, I've actually heard of that too. But in Baltimore, no, it's all powder.
Even to this day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And at that time, I was just receiving it as powder because it was no more heroin. Heroin in Baltimore was probably over in like 2015, something like that.
So that happened quick.
Yeah, I mean,
that happened quick.
Because when the fentanyl came in, it just took over everything.
It's cheaper, so the dealers want it, but the same margin as heroin, the users Cheaper.
So if I already got a block that's doing 30,000 a day, right? I just don't have to get the dope no more. But I'm still making a humongous.
Right.
I'm making more because I'm not paying as much.
Yeah.
You know.
Who was your plug? Who are you getting your fent from?
It was a homeboy. It was actually the guy who hit me that night. It was his friend.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it was like, I don't know. It was a fishy situation for me.
So you never had, your plugs were always like black dudes from Baltimore. You weren't working with Mexicans.
No.
Okay. You didn't have like the plug. Okay.
No.
Got it.
Yeah, I wish at that time, you know. But the guy at this time I was still dealing with my guy when I was getting the 10 bricks.
Right.
So his plug most likely was.
Yeah.
Because this guy, he was hitting a lot of people. You know, he was hitting a lot of people, you know. But, you know, when you're in the game, the less you know, the better, whatever like that.
For sure.
You can't ask a guy, who else you serving around here, whatever, you know.
Right.
Long as every time I hit you, you got it. And it's good, you know, and when I need more, you got it. What more can I ask for?
Yeah.
You know, he could have been the one who put the police on me for all I know.
Right. So somebody knew where your spot was.
Right.
And this is was this like your main residence or just your spot where you bagged up?
So this was my main residence, but I never did it before. That's what made it so, you understand? That's the bad part about the game, kids. Somebody could tell on you, you don't know, and unless you take it to trial.
Right.
You know, but again, remember, so I'm telling you back, so I did take it to trial. To them white boys behind me start saying, oh, he's guilty or whatever like that. That's when I was like, man, look, we ain't doing this. And then, so to answer your question, so they kicked in my door while I was bagging up to go take over the spot up Northeast Baltimore. You know, so I had packs, everything was already packed up. And it was a joint sheriff task force to kick my door in. So, like again, and The Wire, they call them narcos. In Baltimore, we call them knockers. That's the name of the undercover police, knockers. Boy, the knockers coming, watch out. You understand what I'm saying? Not narcos. We've never said narcos, always knockers. So if the knockers would have came kick my door in, I'd have been you probably would have never met me. Because in my living room, as I'm at the table, probably maybe as far as where the wall at, not right here, but where the wall at, I had a floral book bag that had 2 bricks of cocaine and a .40 caliber pistol in it. You understand? So I never bagged up at my house because I always would go to a local motel, do it up, and be good. You know, then I was distributed in the cars that I had parked around the projects. You know, that way I never have nothing in my house.
Right.
No, I never bag up my house. I might have money in my house, but money ain't a charge. You understand? Like, it's a charge you got over a certain amount, but no drugs. I could not get a motel room for no reason. Not a hotel. I always use a motel. I couldn't get no room for no reason that night. So that's why they say, man, don't break your rules.
Right.
I had a rule and I broke it. So I bagged up in my house because I'm excited about going to take over this spot. And then they kick in my door. But the blessing was they didn't find the gun in that. I swear on everything
And
I
it was
love.
just sitting in a bag?
In a backpack.
Oh.
You know, it was zipping up.
Right.
But they never even touched it. Because when they came in, they were so happy with what they seen that was right here in front of me. Because whatever tip they got said it was drugs in the house. They kicked the door in and it was drugs in that house. And they were happy, man. And I'm like, and I played it cool because my baby mother at that time, my baby mother and my 2 sons was in the house. So of course they go upstairs and all that other type stuff, you know, see who else in the house and whatever. But they didn't really search the house. So they bring them downstairs and I'm like, look, y'all got everything. It's right here. I'm not going to resist arrest. I just don't want to upset my family any more than what they already is. So you could just take me out here now. You know, it ain't going to be no struggle or nothing. And the guy who was in charge, he was like, I can do that. We got everything. You know, this was an easy one, whatever. He was cocky about whatever. So they took all the stuff, but they never checked the bag. So now I'm locked up. Now fast forward to now I'm in Annapolis, and these white boys talking about, nah, he's guilty. So remember the judge about to retire in 45 days. So my lawyer go tell him like he's really a user, and they like.
He's kind of big to be a user.
Well, this is recent fact. You know what I mean? Like I used to be.
This is healthy.
Yeah. I used to be a lot smaller, but so. The judge like, Well, we can give him a program then. So now we dismissed the whole trial part of it. So now we're not taking drawers no more. The judge has agreed that I can do a drug program now. So I'm like, okay, all right. So because I was facing, I think it was like 16 years or something like that. You know, that's what the charges that came up to. And they were like, well, if you do a drug program, you got to do 6 months inpatient, 6 months outpatient, and, you know, finish up whatever little bit of time. So at this time, I'm sitting like almost 2 years, you know, just fighting, just going back and forth to court. I was not even convicted of anything, and I sat for 2 years, just fighting, just back and forth. So Baltimore City did not want to hear that. So this is what I was saying earlier. I learned something. So the judge in Baltimore City, I believe his name was Joseph Peters, white guy, right? I go in there, my lawyer like, yeah, Annapolis, because he kept on saying, this is not personal usage. He's a drug dealer. Look at his record. My lawyer like, Annapolis gave him the program. Man, he was so furious because that's what I said. That's when I learned that no judge in the state of Maryland will supersede a judge that's in Annapolis. So by him saying that, it was done. So he had to bang the gavel and he had to agree with what that judge said. I don't think he had to agree, but I think it's very uncommon for judges to go against each other, especially when it's a higher court judge. So then I got into the program.
Wow. What luck. Because, yeah, you've had so many charges already for drug dealing where you pleaded guilty for drug dealing, right? Like those skid bids, those weren't for usage. That's for
CDS.
Yeah. CDS is what?
Controlled dangerous substance.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's a blessing though.
It's definitely a blessing. Now that I look back, yeah, man, because I was ready to take it to trial, you know?
So did that wake you up? Like, because, you know, a lot of people will look at this and say, wow, shit, I was facing 16 and I'm going to be out in a year. I'll just get back to it. But what happened that changed you this time when you were in the inpatient?
So I never had been to a program before. As a drug dealer, I always thought if I didn't see somebody that I used to serve, that they either found something better, they were dead, or they were in jail. I never knew people took time to get themselves together. Never. I mean, bro, never in my life did I ever think that, oh, if I didn't see John then went to the program to help himself. So now that I'm in the program, I'm learning more about addiction. And remember, my mom died when I was 4. She OD'd while I was still a baby. My dad was never really in my life because he had his own addictions. You know, so all I know is addiction is affecting me, but I don't even understand it. All I know, I'm just some knucklehead selling drugs because that's what everybody who get money do. So when I learned from being in the program that addiction is primarily made up of 2 key components, obsession and compulsion. If you add those 2 things to anything, you'll be addicted. It don't matter if it's shopping, eating, gambling, sex, you know, booze, or drugs. It doesn't matter. Like, I know people who will literally, you know, take the television off the wall while their family is watching it to go shoot dice. Because it's in them, like, oh, this is gonna be the big, I'm gonna hit this time, I'm gonna get it. On the slot machine, oh, the jackpot, I'm gonna get it. The whole time, they might not do drugs or alcohol, but it's that addiction. Yeah. So when I learned that addiction is more than just people who just get high and drunk, like, hold on, so you're telling me shopping is an addiction? You know, people got carts right now from Amazon and whatever it is, you know, Ferragamo, whatever it is, and they're ordering things that they don't even need. Ordering things they might not even wear. They might got a closet full of shoes they wore one time, but they still ordering new stuff. It's an addiction. So once I started to learn more about addiction and being in the program, I actually seen people that I used to serve.
Wow.
Yeah, that was eye-opening.
Right.
They see me, they like, and I see them, I'm like, what you doing in here? You know, and then the thing was, Ben, so I got drug court from that judge out there in Annapolis. What happened is, so remember I said I was at MTC, that's the city. So now that the city has went along with what the county has agreed to. Now I'm done my city bid. I'm no longer at in Baltimore City Jail. They shipped me out to Jennifer Road. That's the jail out of Anne Arundel County, and then from Jennifer Road they put me on Ordnance Road. So now I'm out here in these county jails, but I'm just counting down my time till I can go to the program. So now I've been locked up for like 2 years now, and this is the longest I've ever been locked up at this point. And I'm like, when I get to the program, there's no barbed wire, there's no correctional officers. It's just a house. Mm-hmm. And every day we wake up and we do group and all this other stuff. So psychologically, I'm like, I can walk out here any day. But them years that I'm backing up, they're gonna smash me with it. Mm-hmm. And Judge Peters from the city already told me, boy, you ever come in front of me again, I'm gonna give you everything that I can. So I'm like, I can walk out this door any day and go do whatever I wanna do. But of course, I got 2 sons, and they great kids, man. And they are part of the reason that I do this, because they're at the age 17 or 18 that I was already outside. Mm-hmm. I was already like, oh, I ain't getting no job. I'm not doing, whatever. And I had other young kids around me who was, shooting and, killing and robbing and everything else that we were a part of this group. So it's the youth that I had to really sit back and man, I'm a official Baltimore guy who been through a lot. And another thing is, this is the polished version of me. When I say Baltimore, right? That ain't how we say it. We say Baltimore. Mm. So when people see these interviews, they like, he says Baltimore. Yeah. He's not from here. Right. No, I just learned how to move in these rooms around people to get the funding and stuff I need for this nonprofit, to be able to help change lives, So it's and another thing, when we say dog, right? We don't say that in Baltimore. We say Doug, I'm gonna go get a hot dog on a bun and get some mustard on it. What I mean? That's how we talk. But when they hear me on these interviews dog, they don't understand that I've been through what they've been through, and you can't go in these meetings and trying to help people with power just talking hood or being, whatever. You gotta present yourself, polish yourself up, and be the best version of yourself. Mm-hmm. That's how you succeed in life. Mm-hmm. That hood stuff takes you but so far. So to answer your question, when I went out there, and the boys behind me was like, oh, he guilty. It woke me straight up. Yeah, I'm talking about I had a 3-piece suit on, all that, because I still had money. I still had I still had cars. So while I'm booked, my baby mother, she got access to all of this stuff. I had so many different cars and stuff like that. And I didn't know about real estate and stuff. I didn't have anybody around me to say, hey, go buy a house. So I used to buy cars and stuff, and if anything ever happened, go and sell a car. Get $3,000 for that or whatever, and it would just be some sort of passive income. Right. And I was happy to be in a position that when I was gone, she could still provide for the kids, even though she was working,
Wow, so you completed that. I mean, it really changed your life.
Absolutely.
In a huge way. Not only you didn't go back to crime, but you started, your whole business now is helping people get clean.
Right.
It's amazing. That's what you can do. That's the ultimate, is acts of service like that.
Absolutely.
Do you think what are the good things that have changed about Baltimore since you were a young man, and what's gotten worse?
One of the good things that's changed about Baltimore.
Start with the hard question first.
Yeah. It's that the high rises are gone. See, if the high rises would have still been up, I don't think my grandma would ever moved, because she'd already lived there for so long. But being out of that atmosphere and environment, taking me somewhere else, because my grandma raised 4 of us, her grandchildren. I think them high rises, the projects themselves, it just brought a certain mentality out of people. Mm-hmm. That going to a residential block and seeing people who have, cars and, they sweeping their front. Mm-hmm. We got a backyard. Yeah. In the projects I'm from, the originals, we didn't even have a shower. I'm not talking about my apartment didn't have a shower. I'm talking about there wasn't no showers in none of the projects. It was just tubs.
Oh my God.
So to move somewhere and you got a shower now, like that was a big upgrade, man.
Wow.
That was huge. So it's like, you know,
A grown man taking a bath.
Come on, man.
You're selling you're doing 30 grand a day selling heroin, and then you got to go take a bath.
Yeah. Yo, that's crazy, right? And that's what I'm saying. That was every apartment.
Yeah, it's real slum stuff. Having projects, they're like prisons, man.
Right.
Like, I guess they thought this was a good idea back after World War II,
Right.
when they built these gigantic cages, just putting people in, just like rats, like Cabrini Green
Right.
in Chicago. You know,
yeah.
I went there. I was there in the 90s before they knocked it down. It was like, you can't believe human beings live here. So they knocked those down, which, even though it created a lot of, street beef amongst the drug dealers,
beef.
it probably beautified the city a little bit, for
Right.
sure.
Yeah, because
What did they put in its place? Like, what's there
I was
now?
about to say that. The exact place where Lafayette Projects was, they actually have townhomes there. Because Lafayette Projects was literally 5-10 minutes away from City Hall.
Wow.
Like literally, like downtown. It's downtown Baltimore. So that's A1 real estate.
Right.
I'm talking about like literally, man, like right there. So imagine an out-of-towner coming, and as soon as you get off of 83, you just see these large towers and this poverty and this, you might hear gunshots and all of that. So they have since revamped that whole area. It looks a lot better, but it's the poverty mind though, man. It don't matter where you put somebody who doesn't believe in themselves, don't see the beauty that they possess. They don't want to do anything better for themselves. You could put them in a mansion, and guess what? The mansion will dilapidate over time because it's about the individual. It's about the mind. See, behavior health is the bark of the tree. The branches is substance abuse and mental health, but behavior health is the beginning of it all. So we have to address those things. Like, it's people in the community right now, right, that people might say, "Oh, that's crazy Melvin. He just like that, man. He been crazy his whole life." But no, Melvin just has undiagnosed mental health issues. And if he had the proper help, he can be an upstanding citizen in society. But if we don't go and address these things, what happens is the trauma, the hurt, and everything else, it just keeps on breeding. We pass it on to our children and everything else.
Definitely.
So we have to break those things in order to help people, actually be better people. Don't just put people in jail. Like, we've seen the stories where somebody might be autistic or something, and the cops show up and they shoot them or something like that. Like, we have to be able to, to de-escalate these things. It takes longer to become a beautician, than it does to become a cop. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, to go to, to be it takes about a year to be, esthetician, whatever, go through, the whole process. It's about 6-7 months to be a cop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, we have to address these type of things to be able to help the people who need the most help. But of course, Johnny, we know this isn't a mistake. This is by design. Because every time somebody goes to jail, a jail is just like a hotel. Those beds have to be filled. They build these places with the intentions of every bed being filled. So when you go to the music, like you said earlier, when the music influences the youth to say, "Hey man, go shoot your gun. You ain't hard if you ain't shooting your gun, and go pop them perks, go have sex, you know what I mean?" It's gonna, you just keep on hearing it on the radio. And guess what? Somebody's gonna listen. And there's so many single parent homes, no matter if it's just a dad who raising the kids or just a mom. These kids are influenced by the things they hear and they see. Like, oh, my favorite rapper got a chain and a Bentley because he talking about this same stuff. So what he's gonna think, if he do it, he's gonna get rich too.
Yeah. So do you think that the fentanyl crisis in Baltimore is markedly worse than the heroin?
Oh yeah.
You can't even call it a heroin epidemic. It's a tradition.
Right.
You think the fentanyl crisis has made a lot of these areas just like zombie land?
Yeah, man, I definitely do. And the thing is, like I said, it's not only that, it's the stuff that they cutting the fentanyl with. Right. Like for instance, the xylazine. Man, I used to work in the medical field outside of what I'm doing. I used to work in a hospital, right? And the xylazine, man, like for the people who actually shoot, it eats people down to the bone. I'm talking about like it's been a spike in amputations, right? Because it lands in the body where it wants. So it's not the injection site. Let's say shooting in your neck. It might land in your hand, might land in your thigh. I'm talking about, I've seen people with like down to the bone because this is what it does. It's not for human consumption. This is poison, but it gives such a good feeling. And that's the thing I want people to understand, that addiction is not a choice, man. It's a disease. If you had heart disease, you would go see a cardiologist. So it's the same thing with addiction. If you have the disease of addiction, you need to go get professional help. Not just throw this person in jail, not discard this person or minimize what they're going through. These are still people, man. And I'm telling you, I've seen them, man. Feet. It was a lady who was pregnant, and she had, what was it? She had to get her leg amputated because she was shooting dope. But the doctors had to make a decision. Do we breach the pregnancy for her to have the baby before we cut it off? Or do we cut it, you know what I mean? Like, they had to think about the welfare of the child. Yeah. Like, if we cut it, it might be too much trauma, whatever. But if we might have to like breach the birth because she wasn't 9 months, she wasn't full term yet. So it was like, what do we do? So it's these type of stories that are unheard, these type of people who are unseen. That's why at Baltimore Recovery Alliance, and Baltimore Recovery Alliance is not just for Baltimore. You could be somebody anywhere. If you need help, I have the resources for every state. There might be a program somewhere that you don't even know, but it's in your state. And you give a call or email, whatever it is, and I might connect you with that. You don't have to come to Baltimore to get help. If I can help you from where you are, I'm going to do it. That's what the team is for.
So shout that out again, the name of the program?
It's Baltimore Recovery Alliance. Okay. That's BaltimoreRecoveryAlliance.com. We're on all socials, Baltimore Recovery Alliance. Yeah, man.
Yeah, and we'll put a link to that in the description. We'll give it a nice plug. Before we get out of here, just a couple more things. Do you think that these open-air drug markets, the ones that we've seen, in Baltimore, but also L.A., Chicago, Kensington, and Philadelphia. Do you think?
Let me because you said Cabrini Green in Chicago, right?
Chicago, right?
Now,
I don't know if Chicago has open air drug. It's too cold for that.
No. What I was going to say is Dante Barksdale's other uncle was King David of Chicago. Are you familiar with David Barksdale? David Barksdale was from Chicago as well, and he was a big figure in Chicago. So Dante used to fly out there to Chicago to help with the peace initiative. Like I said, in Baltimore, we have Safe Streets. Shout out to Brandon Scott, because that was a very good move to take people from the community, because people don't respect the police. You can't come tell me what to do in my community. Remember, back in the day, the police used to be of the community, but now you people are coming from 10, 15 miles away. You don't know what's going on here. So the fact that he's taking people from the community and put them in positions to actually help, but nobody's perfect. Some of these guys were still involved in certain stuff, but that doesn't mean all of them was, and they are making a difference. We'll go to the open here, because it just dawned on me when you said earlier, Cabrini Green, Chicago, King David, Barksdale.
That's interesting. That's interesting for sure. I mean, should these drug addicts, right? Like, forget about the dealers are there because the addicts are there.
Right.
Obviously when you've got a package, the dealers are the chicken, and then the egg comes, which are the users. But the dealers are there because the users are there. Do you think, not to put them in prison for long stretches, but do you think they should be off the street? Like, they should be physically removed and placed in, clinics and rehabs that are perhaps run by the state, but it's not, it is incarceration, but it's not prison at all. The whole thing is dedicated to programming, to cleaning you up and giving you mental health services, right? Because what good are you doing for allowing a pregnant woman to shoot dope in her leg. But yeah, we're not going to take her to jail because that would be like, racist, or that would be over prosecution. Like, she should be in jail if it's, a jail dedicated not towards punishment, but towards like help.
Rehab.
Right?
Right.
I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think that, number one, I think that individuals who are going through that, I don't think it should be state run. I think it should be independent operators, people like you and me who have a passion for recovery. Because when you put things in the hands of the state like that, it does become prison. It does become, a monopolization. It's like, okay, now we're going to make sure that everybody that we find who's doing these type of things, they're coming here. And it becomes a kickback type of thing.
Yeah, but the state is there. How are people going to go to these private? They have to be forced. I mean, some come around to it, of course, right? But, how many people on the corners in Baltimore? What was that open air market you were talking about?
Lexington Market.
Yeah, how many?
That's just one of many.
One of many. So how many people out of the hundreds that go to just one open air drug market in Baltimore every day, how many of those are actually putting their hands up and saying, you know what, I'm ready to go seek treatment? Probably a really low percentage.
It's a very low percentage. But to your point, right, remember I shared with you, people will only get clean when they're ready. So if you force them, that's still, let me give you an example. And to your point, I also think that there has to be and should be, is something that I'm working on, a rehab for dealers as well. Because the money is very, very addictive, man.
Yeah.
You telling me I have a seventh grade education and I only can go work for Popeyes or something like that,
right,
and you want me to give up getting this $3,000 a week?
Yeah.
I'm running the block. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a hitter enough. I'm running the block. I'm getting $3,000 a week, and if I want to quit from hustling, because I ain't never stacked nothing up enough, I don't have nothing going on for myself, I got to go to Walmart and be a greeter or something like that. So there should be something for hustlers as well to help them reacquaint themselves and adjust to society. Yeah. Things like resume building and things like that, Yeah. But let me give you an example to your point about the state-run facilities. The problem with that is, this will be the problem. There are people in prison right now who've done 5, 10, 20 years. Remember, being clean does not mean that you're in sobriety. So I could do 20 years in prison, and the day I get out, I'm gonna go smoke some coke or shoot some dope. So just because you put me somewhere, don't mean that it's working.
That's really
I gotta be ready.
And there's also a lot of drugs in prison too.
You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Suboxone and K2 and there's no shortage of drugs.
K2 is very, very dangerous, man.
There's no shortage of drugs in prison.
But you see my point?
Yeah.
So let's say that person isn't using at all. In prison, but as soon as they get out, they go do that drug of choice.
But I get that. I'm not saying the prisons now are the way they should be. Like we used to have mental hospitals where, they were maybe less than ideal conditions, but it was an alternative to prison. Mm-hmm. Like somebody who's shooting trank, or what do you call it?
It's trank, yeah.
Trank in their leg when they're pregnant. Yeah. That person is mentally ill. So they should be in a hospital, but you have to use the monopoly of violence, which is to say the government. You can't have vigilantes. You can't have private hospitals going and arresting drug users. You have to have the state remove them.
Right.
Because it's like you can't tolerate that shit at a certain, like you're tolerating it. And I do think it's by design. I agree with you. Mm-hmm. I think it's on a societal level. We tolerate people killing themselves.
Right.
That's what you're doing. And so you have to say, nope, we're going to be adults here. You can't do that.
Right.
You can't do that. You can't do it on the street. You can't be pregnant and do that. But you got to find a happy medium. You have to give them help that's not the brutality of prison.
It can't be forced, Johnny. It'll never work. If you don't allow a person to go amongst their own free will, what'll happen is it's going to backfire. It's been proven. That's why I just gave you the same example about people who are in prison. Now, I might be in prison because, whatever. It's not violent. It's not whatever. I'll be home and maybe 11 months or something, right?
Well, you cleaned your act up. You were forced to be in a program, right. But it wasn't prison. You weren't on the yard with a shank.
Right.
But you were arrested and forced to do this thing that changed your life for the better, and now look at you.
Because I wanted change, though.
But you wouldn't have known it if you hadn't been physically taken. That's my point. You have to be taken.
No, John, I disagree.
You can't have a society for normal people. What about people that want to move to Baltimore?
Okay.
Like normal people that like are entrepreneurs, they've got college educations, they want to, open businesses, which helps people. It raises the real estate, which will then make people buy more. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but they can't because there are drug addicts everywhere on the corner. Like, what about their rights to live?
But a lot of times those same individuals have substance abuse issues. We know it's not just the ghettos to have people who got, drug problems.
Fair.
It's people at every level of life. We just talked about Hunter Biden, who's the president, the ex-president of the United States. Come on, man, this man is rich. He went to Harvard.
For sure, but he's not, again though, and this is gonna sound f***ed up, but rich people doing drugs behind closed doors it eats away at the fabric of their soul and their families.
Absolutely.
But it's different than being on the corner shooting up. It is, because that is directly affecting the quality of life of the other people who live there that are civilians. Listen, I don't think anybody's denying. I don't think any serious person can deny that. Like there's people. It's why ladies, civilians on the block in Baltimore will pick up and call the police because like I don't want 15 drug dealers on the block.
Right. But you know what happens? Because she's already had her own experience with it. She might see her son, her loved one who went through it in them. Addiction affects us all the same. Yeah. So even if I'm rich in Hollywood and I'm snorting coke, and guess what? It's only a matter of time. It doesn't matter, Johnny. Addiction doesn't discriminate. Yeah. So when you're talking about these entrepreneurs who can make jobs and all that, listen, the statistics show that 1 in every 7 people have a substance abuse issue. You do the math.
Right.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's just substance abuse.
Right.
Now, remember, I just explained to you about addiction. Addiction is addiction. So you might not be sniffing coke or drinking booze, but guess what? You tricking all the time. You know what I mean? You know that rent got to get paid, but you going to get some booty. The kids don't know why the light's out.
Right.
You feel me? Or you gambling. You know what I mean? You got to get on.
Gambling's a huge
You understand?
one.
Come on,
Gambling
man.
is like probably the worst addiction in America.
It's
probably
very
gambling.
bad, man.
But again, where do you draw the line? Because you know what really exploded that phenomena of gambling?
Parlays.
Exactly.
I know,
legalizing gambling.
I know, yeah.
I promote it on my show, and I will continue to promote it because I'm about money. I don't have character or principles or values like you, Carl. So that's my whole thing where it's like, I don't know, I think I'm myself just rethinking this idea of make everything legal and then the black market will go away or it'll solve addiction. I don't know.
It worked for Amsterdam. Amsterdam, they legalize drugs, whereas though the government provides drugs. You go to a place, you walk in, I'm not sure if it's for free or if it's insurance or whatever, but they'll give you, let's say you do heroin. They give you a bag of heroin, you go use it there.
Switzerland, they do that too.
Yeah, you leave everything there. What it did was it dropped the crime rate. Right. It did a lot. It did a lot of good. So I understand. It's just one of those type of things. It's so complex.
It is difficult, especially in this country.
Yeah, man. Because you're always going to have people say, no, that's not going to work. Then there'll be people say it might do. Yeah.
Well, you're right. They do give out, you go to clinics and you get like synthetic opioids.
Right.
Fentanyl synthetic.
Yeah, fully synthetic.
But I think if you're caught like selling drugs in those countries, you're still going to go to prison. Like they still have drug interdiction teams and stuff like that. Right. So it's never like a one size fits all, and it's never black and white. Right. Like it's about finding some kind of like middle ground.
Absolutely.
Which we just are so bad at in this country.
That's because people are getting paid off of the misery of others.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of the rich stay rich. Like I said, man, look, you got all these...
Sackler family, the Purdue. I mean, go back to... They're the biggest criminals. They're the ones responsible for... It starts with them. Mm-hmm. It starts with the pharmaceutical companies.
Oh, man, nothing's bigger than Big Pharma. There is no industry. There's no people richer than Big Pharma.
Did you see, because you dealt with thousands of drug addicts, personally interacting with them over the years, did you see any like suburban people like that probably started off taking oxys and perks, that they were getting from their doctor, and then just saw them?
Johnny, that was a part of the plan. That's why what you just now said about pharma, yes, it was people who came with a sprained ankle or something like that, and they were given Percocets, right? And the Percocets ran out, but they already had that addiction now. Yeah. So now what they do? They're going to find the next best thing. And I'm talking about, I've met those type people in droves,
like in cheese lines, waiting to cop.
No, I'm not just saying that. I'm just saying, like, what I'm saying is I've heard that story that I sprained my back. I was in a car accident. They kept giving me the perks. The doctor just kept writing the script, Even when I ain't want them, they just kept writing the script. And then they cut me off. I can't function without this, And then what they do, they go ahead and go get the dope, and now they do. So you're right. What you just now said, I swear, I've heard that story so many times, Johnny, that I started off with just Percocets from a doctor. They kept feeding me them, kept on writing the prescription, and then they cut me off, and I already got this addiction now. Yeah. And I'm not getting any help. It's not like when they cut me off, they say, hey, you can go here for help for it. Right. No, they just left me dry. Now, every morning I wake up, I'm going through withdrawals. I can't even drive my car. Withdrawals are one of the worst things in the world, Johnny. See, what we learn is, people feel like they'll die from opiate withdrawal, right? And some people have. It's a very small percentage per capita, right? But benzo and alcohol, you will absolutely die without, withdrawal management. That's why if you're on, let's say, benzos, it's recommended that you go to a doctor or to a program so they can give you the medicine to wean you off. Right. You're waking up with the DTs from the alcohol and stuff like that. It's recommended that you go somewhere to get the medicine to make sure that you don't die. Yeah,
you gotta get hydrated too,
and it's
right?
medicine they give you too. Yeah, man. Yeah. Like, you will die from benzo and alcohol withdrawal. Benzo being, for the people who don't know, benzos is Xanax, clonidines, all of those type of drugs. Anything that's in the benzo I forgot the big word, in the benzo family. You gotta actually get help with that.
So tell the people what it is your organization does. Like, what can you do for them?
So Baltimore Recovery Alliance is dedicated to helping people with substance abuse and mental health issues. That means, and it's a nonprofit organization. So what we're looking to do is to help, provide housing, peer support, whatever you might need, like people who might need services like food stamps, resources like TDAP, anything that a person might need. We have a reentry program. That's one of the biggest, foul-ups of the system. If somebody just came home from doing 5-10 years, and as soon as they leave the door, they don't have nothing, no resources. So what we do is we help provide housing where, as though somebody can come from the system into a house. We help you get a job, help you, just understand what's going on in society. Because a lot of times we come home and everything has changed. A city can change in 5-10 years, man. Yeah. Your friends, everybody dead in jail, whatever, you can't find whoever, and now you're on the street, and guess what? You're most likely going to repeat the cycle. So that's our whole goal, to help break the cycle of addiction and mental health, homelessness, and really just, help anybody who needs help. And it's not just in Baltimore. As I said, you could be anywhere. You can call me and you're in Chicago. If I can connect you with somewhere that can help you, help your family, help yourself, I got you. That's what we're here for, man. Everybody's lives matter. But the disease of addiction tells us, right, that nobody cares, can't nobody tell, don't nobody know. It just, it's terrible. And now that I'm on this side of things, I just want to be able to project and be the change I want to see. Yes. I've sold a lot of drugs, Johnny. I'm telling you, I done in jail, out of jail. I done had a lot of great times, had a lot of money. But I can honestly say I've never felt good about selling drugs. I've never sold drugs like, I do, No. But what I do now, man, I feel amazing. It feels great when I go somewhere. I walk into the mall or something. I see somebody who's an ex-client. Like, Mr. Carl, I knew that was you. How you doing, man? I got my kids back. You know, I'm driving now. I work up here, man. You understand what I'm saying? It's so fulfilling, man, to be, you know, a part of building the community up after I helped destroy it for so long. You know? So that's what Baltimore Recovery Alliance is about, man. It's about helping people and meeting people where they are. And accepting people for who they are. You know, like, because a lot of times, man, we'll try to make somebody into what no, this person is who they is. Either you're going to accept them or reject them, but you ain't going to change them. They can change themselves. So that's what it's all about, man. Just, you know, trying to be a better person and being the change I want to see.
That's it, man. That's amazing. That's amazing. I really respect it. Last question. Whatever happened to those 2 keys that the cops didn't find? I assume they got to their proper place.
Yeah, they made it to their destination.
Well, Carl, thank you so much, man. Go use him as a resource. We're gonna plug the Baltimore City Alliance,
Baltimore Recovery Alliance.
And I look forward to. I'd love to come to Baltimore, and
man.
if you could show me around,
man,
that'd be great.
Yeah,
I might have to cop something, dude. Become a client of yours. Let's get strung out. Shout out to The Wire. Shout out to Baltimore. Real friendly people. And Don Diva Magazine, man. Look at that, dude. You really are a representative of the city. It was really. You really have an encyclopedic knowledge of it. And maybe we'll do a bonus episode. Maybe we'll jump over and we'll do you want to stick around and just chat for a little longer? After
all good,
I want to ask you some more just wire questions.
Sure.
There's a lot to talk about. So thank you guys so much. Jump over to the Patreon, patreon.com/The Connect Show with the one and only Baltimore Carl right here on The Connect. We'll talk to you guys later. Take care.